Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Fight Night Rising. We're back to our late evening time. It feels good, man, at least for me there. But my name is Khroen, and surprise, alongside me is Lemon Kiwi, because Boop had a bit of a BG today, power out, so couldn't have him. But we do have Lemon Kiwi. How are you doing here tonight?
Good. Boop through live, but I guess he's not live right now because I don't even know if he's watching, so I can talk all kinds of smack about him. But hi guys,
Ooh.
I'm Lemon Kiwi. I like to fill in sometimes for Fight Night, and it's gonna be my first time casting with Khroen, and probably our first time seeing a couple of these players in the lobbies. So I'm excited for today.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm excited as well. And speaking of these new players in the lobbies, let's just go right ahead and introduce the players that we're going to have today. We have the returning couple of players of Jose Paulo for last week's Dominance won first three games. Didn't end up winning the fourth one, but still had a very impressive performance. That's admirable. Also returning, narrowly eking out the third there. Buzzy Boo, Aborz Aki, Domolan, Tever so much, Saltman and Asian Gamer will be the other players joining us in these lobbies, and of course they are going to be competing for their share of the $200 prize pool. $100 for first place, second place will earn $50, third and fourth earning $25, and as always the top three will be invited back for next week. Now, Lemon, I'm excited to get into this, but we gotta talk about, what's at stake here. This is gonna be, I believe, the final Fight Night Rising of this set 5 before looking forward to 5.5 in the future because we're taking a couple weeks off. But yeah, we're on a new patch. What have you been liking recently? Kind of what are your thoughts leading into this day of games today?
Hey, a new patch day is always a bit of a stressful day because everyone's trying to catch
Yeah.
up of like really trying to put into action how big these changes are. So this is where I poke your brain about the
Oh, yeah.
patch that just hit today, 11.14. So big and small changes. What are the ones that stuck out to you? Because I think before the broadcast started, I think the biggest trait change was Legionnaires got a decent buff.
Yeah, Legionnaire's got a solid buff. Maybe some players are going to be more likely to run Draven not just in the Six Forgotten position, but also in just more of a Legionnaire kind of Mordekaiser build that people were playing earlier on into the set. Now, it wasn't like a super big buff, but maybe that trend will be seen there. But I think the big change that's or one of the bigger changes that's on my mind, I think, is going to be the Garen change. I think
Oh
that
yeah.
with these capped late game Dawnbringer boards, with the Karma, with the Garen's going to be a little bit weaker and maybe he's going to be able to, be shredded through by some of these other compositions that were buffed, maybe like Legionnaires. Get to the Garen earlier, get back to the backline in the Karma, and take her out from there. But everything else I think is kind of minimal. They don't want to shake things up too much. It was looking like, but just a couple of outliers being fixed there.
Yeah. And two changes that stuck out to me that I like to play, Zyre 3-star, Yasuo 3-star. Those
Ooh.
got nerfed at their spell damage and also their hit damage. So do you think that will affect the chances of 3-star Yasuos or the, reroll Yasuo or reroll Zyre to come out?
I do think so, but I think actually mostly because TFT players generally, when they see nerfs coming through, they're like, "Ah, okay, that thing's unplayable. I can't go it anymore. It's so bad at this point." And I don't really think that that's the case for either of these. Sure, they're going to have a bit of a weaker late game cap because it is only the 3-star versions of Yasuo and Zyra that got nerfed. So early mid game, they're still going to be the exact same. It's just not going to quite stack up once we get to the top 4 situations like stage 5 or stage 6. Things like that. Maybe we'll see an early stage 4 3-star. That can happen sometimes. Usually unlikely though, but yeah, still just relatively similar, I would say.
Yeah. Well, we're about to get into our first game, but I want to also poke your brain about the new changes coming to 5.5. We got
True.
Radiant items, the goodbye to Shadow items, and some new champions coming in, some leaving us. Maybe your quick thoughts of what are you most excited to see?
Yeah, I think, oh man, there's so many thoughts. There's so much that 5.5 is bringing, but mainly shadow items, while they were kind of cool in theory, I think most people got a little bit let down by them. There's the huge promise of, oh, it's going to increase player agency by so much, but really, if anything, it kind of limited player agency. It allowed like less flexible things, and you just kind of wanted to force very specific items on specific units. But the rating items that are coming through, and the fact that they're going to be a bit more rare, and the power that they hold is actually really exciting. I had my eye on a couple of them. I think it was specifically The Radiant Trap Claw, with being able to block one spell on every single member of your team, is really exciting. Also, the Quicksilver for the 30 seconds of CC immunity, and it increases your attack speed because, you know, why not? So we could see some crazy stuff come out and with that as in set 5.5, but we're for now still on set 5, loading into game number 1 on Jose Paulo's perspective, the winner of last week. And as I mentioned earlier, they won the first 3 games, showed really just absolute dominance, and nobody could really step to Jose. But curious to see if that can be reckoned with today.
The crying kid's face that Jose has on the cam is literally me on first carousel, because I just historically like AP comps. It's just the ones I felt most comfortable, just Dawnbringers. That's my jam. And then Vel'Koz, same thing. And that's the crying face I do. And there's always just one rod on that damn first carousel, and everybody wants that rod because everyone is abusing Karma and Vel'Koz. So I'm usually crying because I don't have the micro to get that first rod. But luckily for Jose, first rod and an HP and a belt. So
yeah,
starting off well.
Starting off pretty well here, pretty flexible items. Of course, talk about the opening carousel. It feels really bad when there's 6 people going for the same item. It's like, if I just clicked faster, and it kind of feels just like, sometimes feels like an unnecessary just like mechanics check in TFT, which, you know, you can have some mechanical like great plays in terms of repositioning and stuff like that, but it does just kind of feel bad. Speaking of hard forcing certain compositions though, we have a player, Asian Gamer, who has not really been too active in the TFT scene recently, but they were very, very well known last set for hard forcing Zed, hard forcing that composition. But we'll see what comp they're gonna hard force, if anything, here today.
Hey man, whatever gets you LP. Because I know I was asking Boop, you know, I was like, prep me. You know, I know your power's out, but I need you to give me your power and tell me about these players. And it was like Zed one trick about this guy. And I was like, that's not helping, but
yeah.
That's a dream bench right there. 2 Yasuos?
Oh my, yeah, 2 Yasuos from an orb? That is absolutely insane. I mean, I'm actually really, really excited that we get to see this, given the fact that Yasuo nerfs did just come through, and usually that dissuades people from wanting to go for Yasuo reroll. But if you get 2 off of an orb, you just gotta go for it. I feel like Warmog's gonna be fantastic as well in this composition, because you put that on a Mordekaiser later to fit in with those Dragon Slayers. You already have a rod for the Jewel Gauntlet for your for Yasuo. Like, this is a fantastic setup, and you have Legionnaire already, even with the Callista and the Aatrox in there.
Yeah, I've been seeing kind of the Jewel Gauntlet as maybe a 3rd damage item, is really flexible. I've seen like even Shadow Hodge be brought out, but you also need probably 2 to 3 bows, like RFC, so you can have your front line just take all the punches for you, and then an Runon's Hurricanes for that 3rd bow component. So not having a bow at the start just stresses me out a little bit. I know we have a lot more components to do, but when you have to get 3 bows and it's such a contesting component, oh, well, the Shadow one might help.
Yeah, Shadow one, I mean, the thing is, though, you can't use that Shadow bow for the Runeends, because Shadow Runeends will not work on the on-hits for the Yasuo true damage. So if you were going to make use of that, it's going to be for the Shadow Rapid-Fire Cannon. Now, Yasuo can get away with having no rapid fire. Can just get away with 1 bow with the Runeends. You get like Runeends, like Shadow Hodge, +1. You've even seen like, things like GA for a bit of defense capability, as it kind of fills a similar role with RFC. RFC is protected because he stands further back, but GA just protect because you get, of course, that extra life. Now, even with Jose's kind of nuts start here, did lose the first round to another strong board that featured 3 A-bomb already. So it already looks like this lobby is going to be pretty crazy if these rolls are continuing to hit as effectively as they are right now.
So I've always been worried about putting Shadow RFC, because you only get that bonus attack speed if there's no enemies within 2 hexes, and Yasuo just wants to hug everybody, like opposite Pandemic style. So are you just doing that Shadow RFC for the range, or is the lack of attack speed going to hurt him in the end, or is Legionnaire kind of covering that base?
I mean, the range is still just important. Like, it's not going to be something that you'll aggressively go for, but if you happen to have those items and have a 3rd slot in Yasuo, like, sure, yeah, the range is going to be amazing on there. But yeah, losing out on that attack speed, going to be a little bit unlucky, but gotta do what you gotta do. Slamming some items, usually. And Jose might want to opt to slam some items soon, especially if he can win this round to protect that win streak. Because even losing the first round, going on a 4 win streak the rest of stage 2 is pretty good. But there was also, I saw some of the banter in the chat going on in the early game, and someone said they were Yasuo only, and it wasn't Jose, so maybe someone's going to be contesting this composition here. We'll have to see if they end up getting bullied and pivoting out.
Let's see how this board goes against was it Spellweaver Renewer from That's Admiral, which apparently another caster in this lobby, so really making me believe that casters can also be players. I always thought it was like one or the other. If you can't teach, it's like can't do, you teach or something like that. If you can't play, you cast. But, Admirable is the exception to that, as we get to maybe go take a look at his board so I could better see those synergies. So just two brawlers right now.
Definitely. Admiral's doing the opposite way that I did. I'm washed up nowadays. I went from playing to now I just cast. I'm just chilling. But that's Admiral says, nah, get me in there. And it's doing pretty well. I mean, last week did pretty well. Top 4 in 3 out of 4 games. Unfortunately, 8th the last game, which actually almost put him out of the top 3. But very lucky to hold on to that spot. That's Admirable is a player who also is one that's going to be forcing some compositions. Likes to, be known as the Draconic Whisperer. So let's see if he's going to live up to that title today. Because we don't have 3 Draconics already. There's some on the board, some on the bench, but need that 3rd Draconic to come through. No Udyr, no Zyra. They're just kind of stuck waiting right now. How's a Jax already?
At least you got that dark blue buff, so you're thinking... I like putting that on Ryze.
Oh, yeah.
You put the Ryze frontline or Ryze near any carry, and they are just perma-protected. But they had first choice. Admiral had first choice on Carousel, went for Rod. So now with the just the regular Runon's Hurricane slammed, what are you thinking?
I mean, especially with selling the Draconics, that's Admiral says, nope, I'm already ditching being the Draconic Whisperer, and I'm maybe just going to be pivoting to Skirmishers, and that's not really something that I expected. Skirmishers are a comp that pretty much always just caps out at a top 4, and you have to really get online relatively early into the game, probably like 3-2 or 3-5, but that's Admirable is going to be losing out every single round, it looks like, in Stage 2, unless he's able to win the next one. But even if he wins the next round, it's not really going to be that good, because he'll snap the loss streak and just be net gaining just less gold. Could put this, puts the Gragas in for a couple more synergies, right? We get Brawler, Dawnbringer online, it's going to be a bit better. But yeah, it looks like with this positioning, that's Admiral just wants to kill a few units and then let the Jax die and go continue on that 5 loss streak. So kind of intelligent recognition of the positioning there. Curious, it probably won't end up selling this Nidalee, because if you're going Skirmishers, Nidalee 2 is going to be a pretty big power spike. But it just sucks they won't be able to make 20 gold here with this loss streak going.
Yeah, you'd have to sell the Nidalee for that, and he seems pretty committed to going to the Skirmisher route, which should be part of that. But at least you're going into that neutral round with a 5 loss streak, so what, like 6 gold or something like that after both rounds with the 5 loss streak, something like that. So that's a lot of cash, but you sacrifice the resource of HP to have a lot of cash, and that's when hopefully that cash turns into something good. So at least, buying out the shop, getting down to 12, Admirable, not in the best spot.
Not in the best spot, but you can come back, especially if you're playing Econ. If Admiral can get up to 30 gold, say from the the Krug round here. Continue on the Skirmishers, though. The only thing that's worrying about me is Skirmishers. Generally, if someone's going this low HP, it's not the lowest that we've seen, but it's still lowest in the lobby. You're gonna want to play just a net stronger comp, be it Dawnbringers, Redeemed, even Forgotten. I think is usually gonna be better than Skirmishers, but. Curious to see if it does, stack up decently into the lobby. I'll have to find out here soon.
Where are these Trundles? He finally gets gifted a Pantheon. I was just about to rant for him of where are these Trundles and Pantheons, because such an important frontline component around that Jax, and Nidalee, she's just not a great skirmisher, but I guess she's got buff recently, so I've still yet to experiment with her, but hey, at least we got a Pantheon.
At least we do have a Pantheon. 4 Skirmishers now. That's Admiral probably going to be rolling down next turn on 3-2. Get that 6 power spike online. But for now, let's move over to our 100 HP win streakers. Well, one of them at least, with Buzzyboo. Buzzyboo carrying some early game Hellions here, scouting out the other 100 HP player. That's Saltman, who has that Nunu 2 with the Abomination online. Trying to position for that matchup, but fortunately dodges it. Does run into to Tever as well, though, and these are players that have leveled up to level 6 on 3-1 so aggressively to try to either protect their own streak or to snap another player's, and that's what Tever is aiming to do against Buzzyboo right now. But a Varus 2 in the backline is going to be outputting so much damage, but doesn't look like it's enough, actually. The Hellions. Wow, Hellions doing it.
A little spicy win streak there too. It's 6 for Buzzy
Yeah.
Boo. Hasn't lost a single round yet. So maybe, yeah, you're spending a little bit more gold or leveling a bit aggro, but it seems to be the meta these days of just rolling a little bit at level 7 or 6, whatever that keeps your board stable, especially if you have that win streak going. So Buzzy Boo is just making up for all that spent gold with this win streak. So goes for the Shadow Vest.
Yeah, it goes with the Shadow Vest. I believe it looks like Buzzy Boo wants to pivot into a Forgotten board here. You know, he's already playing some of them on the actual board between the Hecarim, Victor, and the Thresh, and is holding even like a Warwick Katarina on the bench. Takes the Shadow Vest, which could go into multiple items, but probably the Shadow Locket, still even with it, you know, being nerfed to some resistances, is still going to be very, very good. Place on the Hecarim just to get a little bit of that Forgotten bonus for now, and this is really solid. I think Buzzy Boo is shaping up for a really nice pivot. Already is 100 HP win streaking, so you can take a couple losses, and you can go maybe even, dare I say, a fast level 8. I'm not sure if Buzzy Boo is going to be quite that greedy, though. Depends on how the rest of the stage goes in terms of winning out the rest of these rounds.
So it should be a dub here, but well, what are your thoughts on that slam on the GA? I know it's very early, GA is a very flexible item, and these days it's been more on frontline units just to give time to your carries, but maybe that sword component, if you were thinking about Forgotten, wouldn't that have been important for like a Risk Thirster or Bloodthirster for Draven, or what's your thoughts on the sword use?
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't mind the sword use being slammed for a GA because for one, it's going to, dare I say, maybe protect this win streak? No, not quite. Win streak's gonna get snapped,
Ooh.
but still, GA is good early to get Buzzy Boo to this point at 3-2 win streaking, but also it's gonna be great on the Rise later on. You pair that with a very dark blue buff, and sure, Rise got nerfed, I believe, a couple patches ago, so the secondary CC is not going to be as good as it was, but still, Rise gets into that GA state, reses, and very dark blue buff can make those casts keep on chaining to provide just a ton of value there. So I do like it. You even can go a GA on a Draven. Sure, it's not the most amazing item, and you're probably just always going to put it on the Rise, but it can be a little bit flexible there.
At least you're not putting all those eggs into that level 1-6 basket, because at least
Yeah.
you have Kled, and he got buffed recently. And the Shadow Runons, that could be a Draven item later.
Oh yeah.
Nice hook from the Thresh, but it's just the dark blue buff, maybe not going to help the Ziggs a whole lot, so I feel like it's really up to Kled, and at least the GA is being kicked in, but 2v4, this is not going to be a dub. I don't know, it's going to be close.
Yeah, gets a couple more kills there, and that's fine for Buzzy Boo. Maybe even going to kill the Lee Sin. Wow, that's actually a fantastic loss. Only lost to the A-Bomb last round, loses to 1 unit this round. 2 loss streak, is still going to be one of the highest HP players in the lobby. And, okay, doesn't win out on the Carousel RNG there to pick 3rd, being tied with Jose. Jose will win that one out. But still, a decent spot that Buzzy Boo's in for sure.
See what they end up going for. I think last thing I remember is they had a Shadow Vest going on, so...
Yeah, I mean, maybe they just want to grab another Shadow component no matter what it is to make sure they get that Forgotten full bonus online. And it looks like, yeah, they're just going to be grabbing this Shadow Rod. Might end up slamming that into a Shadow Locket, but you don't really want to be using double Shadow items for just one full completed Shadow item if you're playing Forgotten. But it might end up being okay. 5 Hellions now, however, though, for Buzzy Boo to finish this stage out, it's looking like. It's gonna
I was
level
trying
up
to figure out.
Ooh,
I was trying to figure out what the Hellion angle was. If they were going to put more calves in just to maybe help Kled, who seems to be the biggest source of damage right now, just being upgraded and having items going on. So I thought the calves might help maybe Kled just pop off more, but seems to be just a lot more committed into the Hellions just to not lose too much harder.
Yeah, no, I think this is fantastic. Even could win these rounds. I mean, levels to 7, still on 30 gold. That's the exact position that you want to be leveling to 7 on 3-5. Even did end up slamming the Shadow Locket as well, because just wants to maintain an HP lead in this lobby, which looks like he's very much going to be able to do so here. The Vladimir's, I mean, Vladimir's good, but not quite good enough. Does not survive the Hellion Onslaught. Deals 10 damage to that board. Moving over to Asian, that was to Asian Gamer's board. Asian Gamer now the lowest HP in the lobby. Has a lot of gold, but is even lower than that's admirable now, and that's saying something.
Got a remover. We got Renewer. I just historically have had so much bad luck with Renewer. I have not done the reroll Renewer business, but reroll openers just never get me any luck, especially against how strong like Dawnbringer's redeemed and other openers are. But Tanky Vlad has surprised me before, especially if you get up to 3-star. He could be a nuisance and actually never die. But we'll see how this works.
Yeah. It doesn't, yeah, the Asian Gamer not leaning fully into the Renewer reroll, of course. Is already level 6, looking to, saving money for going level 7. It has a couple of options, it looks like. It's either going to be redeemed or Dawnbringer. We have the Lux on the bench. Even Lux in the shop right now. Not buying the pair thus far, which makes me think it definitely just wants to be a Dawnbringer. This round against the Jax, however, not going to be able to do quite enough. Domo there, getting a round win. Yeah, okay, he's gonna pick up the Lux pair. Be surprised if he didn't. Might as well just hang on to it. But level 7, 50 gold. Needs to roll down and stabilize right now, so I'm actually gonna be really curious to look at Asian Gamer's roll down on 4-1 and see what he lands on, because that's going to determine if Asian Gamer hits, sure, you can stabilize, you can end up getting a top 4, but if you miss this roll down, that's absolutely tragic and probably looking like a fast 8th from there.
See what items they get out of here, yeah. Thinking... Even if you take the Nightbringer angle, I feel like Vlad isn't too popular to go to the end, but a lot of gold, a lot of components. What are you thinking about these?
Oh, I mean, I'm just looking at the Nico's help. Yeah, Philios, not really any items for it, unfortunately. Look at the Nico's help and saying that's going to be a huge key to stabilizing here. Asian Gamer is a player that does like playing very green. He's comfortable getting very low HP before turning things around. So, oh man, Asian Gamer might even be trying to green out fast level 8. After this carousel. The Vladimir is decent at taking some unit kills, but going to stage 4, I'm worried about Vladimir's potential there, because a lot of other people are going to be upgrading stuff right now, like even looking at that's Admiral's board here. Of course, he has landed on the Skirmishers, and, I mean, lost Skirmishers last round. It's just a matter of to how many units.
And you even have a potential Morello on that bench, which I know is good on Morgana, but I think we're still keeping our options open as much as possible and taking these losses like a champ, but it's going to be a close loss. I thought maybe they could take out that Jax, but nope, 3-unit loss and 39 HP at the bottom in 8th currently, so I'm stressing for Asian Gamer.
Yeah, me too, a little bit. Okay, 4-2 Armory comes through. We get some components. It could end up being a Shadow Death Cap for the Karma. Once you do get that online. Could be, yeah, that's probably the most appealing option, honestly. Wow, Asian Gamer is going to level up at 4-2, roll with about 30 gold. And you end up finding a Karma. That's going to be the big key. Picks up a Lux because what else are you going to pivot to? Okay, finds a Riven. Actually skips it though. Maybe not going full Dawnbringer here, as anticipated. But no gold left. Puts in a rel. Don't really think that was a fantastic roll down for Asian Gamer. It seems rather lackluster, to be honest.
Even the Vel'Koz, yeah, I saw we were skipping some redeemed units, so at least you have rel, but I think that was maybe more for the Cav bonus than anything else.
Yeah.
And then you have a Vel'Koz in the shop, but that doesn't seem interesting, so... Yeah, I'm as lost as you are. We're gonna find out where these items end up.
Oh man, I mean the Vel'Koz, I mean yeah, Asian Gamer doesn't think the Vel'Koz is interesting enough, but it might just have to be. You can't just keep carrying this Vladimir forever. It's 4-2, you're 0 gold, level 8, haven't landed on a single Karma. Had the Nico's help, of course, but you gotta find a single unit before you even start thinking about Nicoing to a tier 2. Going up against Jose. Jose looks like is on 5 Yasuos right now, and is relatively still healthy. So we could end up seeing Yasuo 3 later on into the game. Picks up this Vel'Koz. Continues to roll. Ivern pair. Are we gonna find a Karma? Any Karmas?
Any Karmas? Because that Kozik's looking pretty ugly at 4-3, that's for sure. Just literally any decent Dawnbringer, aka Karma. Let's think about it. So, but...
oh, there's a Karma! We hit!
Yay!
There we go, finally. Asian Gamer
I don't think we got the Ivern
roll. No, doesn't have the Ivern, but has a couple of items. Now the Bramble wants to find its way onto a front line. It's just going to be the Morgana for now, because she's going to be sold a bit later, probably, to get this Death Cap onto the Karma. But, I mean, selling a tier 2 kind of frontliner right now with the board save Asian Gamer is pretty feels bad. Up against Saltman with the A-bomb board that we saw terrorizing other players early, and it's going to continue to terrorize Asia Gamer as he goes on a 6-loss streak, 23 HP. Hopefully able to stabilize with that karma, but we'll see a bit later on as we check in with Saltman, who was the A-bomb player that we just saw.
We'll have to check out his bench and see what he's working on, but
yeah,
man, that Draven with the sword is looking so sexy, especially for, was it Buzz who was going for maybe a Draven Forgotten build?
Yeah, potentially.
But
yeah, grabs it. There you go, 4-cost sword.
The predict.
Feels pretty good.
It feels good for him. Hey, if that Draven is staying that long into carousel, yeah, you take those.
Oh,
small
yeah.
victories.
Ooh, another small victory. Naturalling a brand 2 for this A-bomb board. And it looks like, yeah, it's just going to be a pretty typical reroll Zyra, Nunu, A-bomb Spellweaver board. And players have been going this now for a little bit, and it's pretty strong. It could still take lobby wins, especially if you're able to get to that 5 A-bomb, get that A-bomb emblem. That's when the comp is really a terror. Saltman is still in a good spot. 5 Zyras, 6 Nunus. Going up against Tever. Tever's landed on still this Varus. Has a Rel 2 as well though with the GA. A little bit awkward there, but see if the Varus can be able to do enough damage.
Yeah, I was about to ask about the Morello and the Gragas if you think that would be a good swap towards the Zyra. Obviously, there's an ideal world, and there's the board you got. So,
yeah.
But you'd have to replace them with another Brawler, and not going to see Volibear for a little while unless you get really lucky with that 1% chance. But and any criticisms on the items that we have right now? It looks pretty solid. Minus maybe a Morello could be moved.
Yeah, the Morello's definitely going to be moved later, and as you mentioned, you called it exactly, it's going to look to be that Volibear, but nothing really else gets the value right now. You want to save your Zyra slots for other AP items, because sure, she can apply Morellos to a few, but the Voli's going to apply it to more units, and you don't, of course, want to sell your Zyra, especially because she's going to be going for that tier 3. So, kind of a useless item for now, but Gragas is going to be the holder of it.
He got nerfed, which was the weirdest thing I think that happened to the patch. I thought he was a perfectly fine, chunky 1-cost brawler that did me just right for Dawnbringer. So I was surprised he got touched in the patch.
Yeah, his tier 1 and tier 2 got nerfed a little bit, like 5% less damage reduction, and I guess Gragas gonna be a little less. Yeah, not a huge deal, but gonna be a little weaker early, sure. Not going to matter for Saltman, though. You take a Gragas, you take the nerfs, and you put a Morello on him, and sure, he's still just fine, it looks like. But who's not just fine is that's admirable. Losing out this against the Saltman this round. Drops to 26 HP. Now seeing Aki for the first time. Aki running a Yasuo. Okay, never mind. The Yasuo is just going to be what gets you to the point of transitioning into Dawnbringers, and this is looking like a really good pivot. Now we're going to have the IE Jeweled Gauntlet and the blue buff onto the Karma. There's no healing on her, but oh man, just sells the whole board. This is a big pivot. I absolutely love seeing this. It hits the Karma too, is rolling on the creep run as well, which I actually don't mind at all. Gets a Nico's help, so if Aki is able to land on one more Garen, this board all of a sudden is going to be one of the terrors of the lobby.
Especially with the Shadow GA, it's surprising. I never see this build except for Garen. So obviously utilizing anything from damage to tank items, but a second Garen? Okay, this is very much looking good. You know, this Kha'Zix's kind of ugly. You know, past stage 4, I hate using Kha'Zix, but he is there just for the Dawnbringer 6 until otherwise.
Okay, taking out the extra units. Just gonna put in a Syndra 2 right now. We can maybe think about going for Invoker in the late game. It's gonna not so many items right now. Okay, waiting to see if we get a 5-2 armory coming through, but that's all the upgrades being hit. The only thing that I would have maybe considered there for Aki is Nicoing the Garen, but we're probably even strong enough to not even worry about that right now, but I say that as the Mordekaiser's looking pretty scary. Does get taken out though. Arma 2, pretty good unit, takes out Jose.
Thumbs up. Just Karma things. Maybe you're saving that Nico if you go for that capped 4 Invoker board with the Teemo, so you save some HP with maybe a Nico's help if you plan on going at least level 2, but we'll see if they even hit the Teemo, if they even need it, because super strong board, but Buzzy Boo's also on fire, so that's a threatening first place.
Oh yeah, Fuzzy Boo having a great standing in this lobby thus far. Asian Gamer less so, down to 1 HP now. Looks like
Oh.
that pivot really did not work out. Looking like a fast 8th. Maybe can dodge 8th, that's admirable. Doesn't hit the Jax 2, it looks like. That's admirable still stuck on Jax 1 ever since stage 2. Okay, now finally hits the Jax 2. See if that's able to bail him out. Jose Paulo goes level 8 as Aki lands on a couple more upgrades as we go into this next round.
And I like the blue buff. I know you can use either Shojin's or blue buff on Karma, but turns out if you run Invoker 4, something like blue buff saves you an auto attack. It's like you get to your auto ult faster with the blue buff just by 1 auto. So I like that they chose to do that, especially looking good for Invoker 4 if that Teemo ever pops up. See how this one goes.
Didn't go in time, unfortunately. Aki wanted to Zephyr the backliner, said, okay, I guess I can't. Zephyr the Ivern, didn't land anything, but it's okay. This board's still so strong. Look at that, the Pantheon trying to hang on, but wasn't able to do so. Deals 13 to Tever. A lot of players level 8 thus far, and that's admirable. Actually, even with the Jax 2 is going to go out in 8th. Asian Gamer hangs on for 1 placement higher. And that's important in a tournament setting, of course. Each placement can be the difference between top 3 being invited back and not getting into the money as opposed to bot 4ing.
Yeah, I want to ask you that.
Yeah,
with your history of Fight Night casting, is an 8th place kind of doomed? I know we got 4 lobbies to go, but is it still possible to do well?
Yeah, we've seen a lot. Boop and I comment on it actually all the time. When a person goes 8th, we're like, they are definitely not out of this one. We've seen players bottom out in the first game and still come back to top 3, if not even sometimes, contest or win a whole night. So, even if you go 8th, it's not the end of the world for that. It's admirable. But for Asian Gamer, right, it just sets himself up, of course, even more for a lot more success. 1 placement point. I in my tournament experience of playing TFT, I've gotten into multiple final days off of tiebreakers by being like the same points as somebody else. So I'd be way more comfortable having that 1 point ahead. But that being said, Asian Gamer is going to get rocked in this matchup. It looks like go -16. Aki wins out on theirs. Saltman loses, but Buzzy Boo is still in the lead. 85 HP as we're halfway through stage 5. Buzzy Boo absolutely dominating the lobby.
Oh, I see. Such an attractive looking Revenant spat right there.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Especially for the Dawnbringer boy of Aki.
Yeah.
Perfect for them. Giving you kind of an extra GA, it feels like. So where would you put this Revenant? I feel like, is Revenant important when you already got a Shadow GA up?
Yeah, I was gonna say, usually you might look to the Garen and be like, alright, I'm gonna put it there, but now the Revenant buff is really gonna be just to make sure the Ivern's gonna cast, so it doesn't matter too much who else you put it on. It probably is gonna end up being the Riven or the Syndra, I would imagine one of the two, but it's mostly just about the Ivern value there.
And then, yeah, just a reminder.
Yeah, there he goes.
Buzzy Boo in first place was rocking that Draven. I think even got the Draven with sword off, was it stage 4 carousel? So that took off early and is still trucking along as Aki. At least the Zephyr will hit this time, but it's the Shadow Zephyr, so it always freaks me out to see them come back down and what kind of extra stats they get. But I think by the time this board gets wiped out by Karma, that buffed Zephyr person's not going to matter.
Yeah, not looking like it. Even with the Dragon Claw on the Abomination, I mean, doing a pretty great job at tanking, but yeah, even still, it's not quite going to be enough. Karma board, way too strong. A little bit of Zephyr value, a little bit of Revenant value as well. But Boars, Aki could consider going up to level 9 or rerolling for a bit of a Karma 3. I don't think there's any other Dawnbringer players still left alive. We have Jose, of course, going for the Yasuo. Is still pretty far away from the Yasuo 3, still 3 away. Could end up hitting it, but really just wants to secure the top 4 right now. Domo did go out in 6th. Tever, the next person on the chopping block here.
Yeah, I was about to say Ever, but then now that you said Tever, that makes more sense. Yeah, this is the round to decide.
Maybe it is
potentially the top 4. Tever, Ever, I don't know. But on 1 life, Yasuo 3 not online yet for Jose, so that's a feels bad. Do you think you need the Yasuo 3-star to get a top 4, even with perfect items, or is 2-star going to do the job?
To get a top four, 2-star can definitely do the job, especially if there's a lobby that's getting kind of bullied as hard as this one has. To get us the win, sure, Yasuo 3 is probably going to need to happen, but there has been times where you can just have a really well itemized Mordekaiser as well as your Yasuo, still have him on a tier 2 level to level 9 and still contest a victory, but you kind of need the rest of the lobby to low roll a little bit, and yeah, that's not what's happening here. So it looks like Jose did a great job of getting here, but is unlikely to come out with a win in this lobby, unless these rolls are going to be very kind. Maybe the Dragon ends up giving a Nico's help to Jose as well, and we can land on Yasuo 3. It's still possible. Gonna have about, 50-ish gold to roll with if Jose does choose to roll down right now.
I don't know if I'm just a negative person, but I never expect anything good to come out of any of the minions. So things like spats and things like Nico's helps, I almost never get. But this Renowned Hurricanes is maybe not something they wanted on the menu, but we'll see. They're still trying to roll down as much as they can. Maybe wish they did more so of that at level 7, but almost getting to the Yasuo 3, just 2 away. Dodges the... Okay, one more.
Okay, has some Lulus that they could sell and we could roll a couple more times, but Jose's probably not going to lose right now if he loses, so just going to wait one more round. Zephyr on the Trundle. Yeah, also on the backline getting CC'd a little bit. Mordekaiser though. Mordekaiser items are fantastic, but going up against Aki with this Dawnbringer board, it's really just not going to be enough time and time again. Everything just falls on over. Jose taking a big hit, but so does Ever or Tever. Oh, the check-in on
Top
that one.
4!
Top 4!
By 2 HP! Holy cow, I'm screaming at this point. If I get in the top 4 by 1 or 2 HP, I'm like, okay, I can breathe now. Because at least I'm not losing any LP, but 2 emblems, 2 shadow items, which one would you take?
Yeah, the Assassin emblem would be really appealing if there was another spot on Lee Sin open, and in fact, it's going to be appealing enough even regardless. Probably going to end up putting it on the Morgana, give her some backline access, and now we're going to sell the Rise, put in a Lulu too. That's why Jose was saving those Lulus, going to be able to get the, still the Mystic buff, but also just buff the Yasuo attack speed, as well as going to be very, very nice. Still 1 Yasuo off, and if Jose dies right now, that's going to be so unfortunate. Trying to position so that he'd have the best odds of winning, of course. Moves the Yasuo over to the left side maybe, and yes, does so. The Diana as well. You know what, that's great actually. Diana's going to jump into this Draven in the back line. Yasuo's going to be able to start tearing him away soon.
Yeah, I was wondering, I was waiting for some shenanigans like putting Rise Assassin. I've done that before, they had the blue buff, but yeah, it's like the Assassins, they get looked at less when they're in the back, and I don't know if she even got an ult off, but man, that's a tough loss, and they're out. Top 3, not secured, but 4th place is still a thumbs up.
Yeah, not bad at all. Jose falls, and nobody else does. Saltman hangs on with 2 HP. Aki did lose, but Buzzy Boo has, what was that, like 60, 70 gold rolling with at level 9? This Forgotten board was so well played with the early Hellion opener, right? It was that GA, the very dark blue buff, the Shadow Runans, and then of course the Shadow Locket as well. It just sets Buzzy Boo up for some perfect success here. Doesn't even have to hit things like a Kindred too. It's going to be okay with even this Kindred 1 and win streaking out, but going up against Saltman, the Zephyr lands on the Nunu.
Ooh, level 3 Zyra. So scary. And Hextech, I never see Hextech, even the Shadow version, get built at all. Is this something you've done for Zyra before, or is this just what the components kind of gave you?
Looks like it's kind of what the components ended up giving. She's going to be healing her allies a little bit, and that's not really going to be enough for this board. And yeah, with that, Saltman will fall. Aki looks like they're going to fall as well. A double kill as Buzzy wins game number 1 with 85 HP and a win streak. I don't think I've seen that dominant of a victory in a very, very, very long time, Lemon. Wow, that was crazy.
All hail Draven. That's all we say. I know everyone.
I guess so.
If you ever say that in loud, you say it 3 times, and someone's gonna knock at your door. FBI agent right there. But Draven, also powerful, perfect items. Maybe with the slight criticism is they weren't all for shadow items, but minus that, still very powerful unit, well balanced with tank line tank line items. So really the perfect board, and was able to get that Draven with the sword at what, stage 4 carousel, something like that.
Yep.
So the fact they were able to like get that early win streak, and of course be able to have all the gold in the world to upgrade your board. So really a great game by Buzz.
Oh man, that was just nail in the coffin. The stage 4 Draven with the sword is absolutely amazing because they were already leaning into that Forgotten pivot. Only person in the lobby to do so. They already had fantastic items. The 5 Hellions utilizing as a pivot point into Forgotten is not something that I've seen a lot of at all. Usually when we think about Hellions, it gets you into a late game Invoker board we saw earlier on in set 5, but this time it's going to go into the Forgottens and it's going to be done beautifully. That was just such a treat to watch. And let's take a look at the scores of game number 1, refresh our minds of where everyone ended off. It is, of course, BuzzyBoo in first place, 10 points. Aki with the Dawnbringer pivot as well, getting a second place. Very well played. Saltman with the A-bomb board is third, 7 points. Jose's Yasuo nets a fourth for 6, but towards the bottom, that's admirable. Coming in, trying to be the Draconic Whisperer, and straight away from it, he gets an 8th for his troubles there. Maybe he has to go back to forcing some Draconics in the next one.
Yeah, it's like trying to get out of Draconic jail, but then not really coming out of jail with anything at all, whether it's gold, whether it's HP. And then Asian Gamer, I think, got lost on the Nightbringer. Remember, they had a bunch of items on Vlad, I think it was, and then rolled down, I think, dodged a couple of redeems and dodged, maybe ended up picking up a Vel'Koz, but just really didn't have a direction. So I think maybe just the item slams that early, maybe kind of funneled him into not knowing what the items he used could go to.
Yeah, it really just seems like, to me, Asian Gamer just played a bit too greedy, I think. It seems like, with the roll down, not being willing to go into the Vel'Koz after you go level 8 on it. I think it was 4-2, not hitting a Karma for a very long time. Asian Gamer used to playing greedy, but that's with other styles that kind of favored Asian Gamer better. It seems like in this one, not seeming like it really landed too well. Sure, you dodged 8th, great, but got to do a bit better than that to come back in the next ones. Got 3 more games left to go on the day. Jose looking to protect the win streak, however, though. They had a dominant run in the last week, but already they're starting out not quite as good as the win, but did it go over to BuzzyBoo. BuzzyBoo is a good player. BuzzyBoo's name is relatively known within the TFT scene, I would say, but there's always the conversation of who's going to come out and surprise us, right? This is Fight Night Rising. These players want to be able to rise up into the competitive scene. These newer names, rise up, like Aki, like Saltman, starting off with some seconds and thirds. Gonna be looking to them to see if they continue their success in the next game.
Hey, that's what Fight Night Rising is all about, putting the spotlight on upcoming TFT talent and admirable the skirmishers. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around skirmishers, because just that pure melee comp can be so susceptible to whether you're Zyra CC or just literally any CC at all in the front line. So what are your thoughts on where skirmishers sit right now? Because they've been buffed, they've been nerfed, they've been played around with. They're actually leaving, next set. So what are your thoughts on skirmishers, and if Admirable made the wrong decision to follow that high roll of the Jax?
Yeah, that's an interesting conversation, because if you're not landing on Draconic early, you already have a Runans, which is great for a skirmisher comp too, and you land on the Jax, it seems appealing, right? It's like, okay, I might be able to stabilize with this. I can maybe not bleed out quite as much in stage 2. Sure, you went on a 5 loss streak and had 68 HP, I believe, which is still okay. You just roll it down on 3-2, stabilize 6 skirms, and you're kind of chilling until at least level 7, but it just didn't end up working out. I think the rest of the lobby was a little bit too high roll between a few other members to really allow skirmishers to net kind of what they're supposed to do, which is getting a top 4. If you super high roll the skirmishers, the rest of the lobby rolls, then sure, you can maybe contest a first, but it's not really something you're gonna play for. So I don't blame that side roll for that. It just didn't quite end up working out, unfortunately.
So it feels like that, bait. Those high rolls.
it really does sometimes. You land on a super early 4-cost unit, you're like, okay, that's my direction. This is great, but sometimes it is very much just that. It's bait.
Well, it looks like our second lobby is ready. Overtalk is over. Let's go and check out how things will shape up on this first carousel. But yeah, just on that skirmisher thing, it feels like that comp is so needy, right? It's just, it's Jax is great, will pop off, can scale to infinite and beyond Toy Story style, but it feels like he's so needy for the units around him. You need that front line. And I want to say I remember not finding a Pantheon or a Trundle, at least when we were watching. It was like they got a Pantheon from a neutral round. And
Yep.
then like Runons might not even be enough because, you know, there's not a lot of life steal, if none at all. So it's like any hit at all and no front line plus Jax. Kind of a good direction. Maybe it was bait and just not able to get out of it. But it's a new lobby, new us, Buzzy from first place lobby gets a sword and a bow.
Sword off the carousel on the Vayne, bow off the neutrals so far. It's a pair of Leonas, and that's probably the most appealing option right now. Could think about early Warwick for the Forgottens, but they're actually, with the nerfs that came through a couple patches ago, not going to be quite as good in the early game. Is still playing the Vayne on the board, however. See what these neutrals bring. Is it going to be an orb? Is it going to be an item? Going to be a couple Yasuos?
Cool. Damn. That, and even then, that got Jose a 4. Yeah, fourth in last lobby. So, you know, sometimes the shenanigans that happen early game is great. Having an upgraded Leona, praise be. They could keep that Vayne around for maybe if you were to fall upon, I don't know, a Varus with that Ranger too. That'd be pretty cute.
Potentially, if you don't have better synergies, like you're going for, say, like Knights or Legionnaires or something like that, depending on what other redeemed units we hit, could just be a Vayne for buff up Varus. We saw someone, I actually forget who it was, but someone was running a bit of a Varus carry in the last game. Didn't quite work out, but speaking of Varus, here we go. Varus is right there. Buzzboo was considering selling the Varus, like kind of hovered it and was like, oh, wait a minute, I kind of want that actually. He's going to level up. Played 2 Knights and 3 Forgotten, so the Vayne presence is going to still be good. Varus can't quite fit his way in for now, it looks like, but maybe in a few rounds if we go level 5.
Yeah, just unfortunate you don't have that 3rd redeemed unit, because I'm sure they would have liked to have that, you know, 3 redeemed opener, but 3 Forgotten, and even the Thresh's backline, just hoping Leona so accept all that damage, but yeah.
Oh, Brawler opener. Wow, that's admirable. Lands on 4 Brawlers at 2-1. We were kind of talking about that before the show, right? Like with the early Brawler openers, how's it going to look? Sure, Gragas is nerfed a little bit, but Set actually is, Set's buffed, and the Set buff might actually offset that a little bit. Looks like it's going to be really good in this round, right? Just the flat HP early is so hard to deal with. The Nunu is just going to be, you know, consuming units. That's what he does. Warwick even getting another ultimate off. Gonna be a slow bleed out for the rest of this Forgotten board, as Nunu is gonna seal the deal in this last set. Yeah, there we go. Consume. Buzzboo takes the L in round 1.
At least this isn't set 4 brawlers where, you know, you go like, what was it, 8 or 9 brawlers and you're just have infinite HP. Like, oh, I still have nightmares about set 4 brawler, but we move on. Also, I think they had Callistas on their bench, so maybe Admirable is thinking about an Abomination. Kind of early game, so that's super solid.
Yeah, his Abomination is going to be one of the best traits pairing with the Draconic. And that's what, of course, that's Admirable is, I think, most well known for. So already having a couple of the Abomination units, especially with the Nunu so early, is fantastic for that direction. Looks like for the players who lost, Jose lost by 4 units. So had a very, very weak board, it seems like. He's ran into someone else that was very strong. Domo now has a couple Mystics, a couple of Nightbringers, Katarina as well, who's good in the early game. Actually, slams the Thieves' Gloves, which does end up making a Zephyr, which allows the units to get to the backline and clean up really, really quickly. Which way is this going to end up going? It's probably to the way of the Leona, as she's tanking up so much. And Victor is still alive.
Leonas never die. I think that's like a saying somewhere, but what are your thoughts on slamming Thieves' Gloves so early like this? Because I feel like gloves have become so much more popular with IE, Last Whisper, etc. And just even Shadow Thieves' Gloves, way more popular because you get the full item. So thoughts on normal Thieves' Gloves here? Yeah,
normal Thieves' Gloves slamming early is, I don't know if I would say you have to do it from this position, but Domo has, it looked like start off with a glove probably. Got another glove from the drops, and then got a 3rd glove from the armory. So 3 gloves, yeah, you're probably just slamming a TG in that spot. And as you said, it's of course I think a super accurate read on the meta of gloves are going to be so valuable for so many other things, whether it be the IE, Last Whisper, even like Hodge or things like that are going to be fantastic. But you kind of got to make do. You don't want to just super full into your early game. It looks like just have absolutely no direction Thieves Gloves, definitely not as good as previous sets, but looks like that's the decision here for Domo, and I don't mind it. It's just not going to be fantastic.
Okay, ever managed to get Shadow Hodge this early and a bow looking towards like RFC, Runan, etc.? You know, you guys know the Yasuo recipe. So having the Shadow Hodge this early, though, is definitely going to help kind of that early game not lose too much HP. So, pretty proud of that.
Oh yeah, so great Yasuo early board. Already has Shadow Hodge, has the bow as well. Went to Carousel. Jose, already 78 HP. Gets to pick first for his troubles. Looks like he may have wanted the glove though, so now looks a little bit lost. Jose, what are you gonna grab? It's gonna be the 3-crossed belt. All right, Domo grabbing the bow.
He's like, wait, I messed up. He does not. Can you tell if it's like a happy laugh or like a I messed up laugh? You know, because
yeah, you can tell the emotions of TFT players like looking at it usually, but sometimes they are a bit harder to read. That one is definitely falls into that category. But Domo is gonna upgrade the Udyr. Yeah, it's gonna have a Pantheon as well. Has the Nidalee, so could just go early Skirmisher, and looks like that's what they're doing. These gloves could be sold and just slammed onto I don't know, Nidalee, Udyr. Probably Udyr at this point.
It feels bad. They probably like high rolled a Katarina and thought, okay, I have this Forgotten Katarina board. Someone else is going Forgotten, so you're probably not just finding a ton of them. And then you had this assassin angle with Kha'Zix, and now you're looking at Forgotten. Now you just threw Skirmishers on your board. So I'm sure Domo is a little bit lost, and he's like, well, this Shadow Last Whisper might be a little bit ugly on the Pantheon, but it'll hopefully work.
Yeah, Final Whisper, actually, it is going to proc on the Pantheon ability because they do count as like autos, so it's a decent item holder right now, if not just going to be there the whole time. And with that and something that Thieves Gloves onto the Udyr, actually, it's going to turn Domo's loss streak around a bit. I like this pivot. It's just the gold, the econ for Domo is looking really tragic. Probably going to need to sell these Katarinas or just pivot into utilizing them and sell the Mystics instead. Looks like that's going to be the decision here instead, to keep the Katarina pair. Letting only Katarina 2 would be pretty solid. Looking over to Jose, though. Jose is running some Draconics. Looks like they're going to be contesting. That's Admiral, maybe. That's Admiral doesn't quite have the Draconics yet, but does have the Abominations. And the Sunfire Cape Slam from Jose. Really aggressive and trying to just, you know, kill as many units as possible, even if you're still going on that lose streak.
You got to do something with what you got. The vest and belt gonna work out perfectly early for this Sunfire, like you said, and Draconic's gonna open that door to, I guess, ideally get the 3-star Zyra, sorry.
Not Overwatch.
I know, right? It's a 1 letter off, but yeah, just not being able to kill a whole lot with just like a level 1 Zyra.
No, did kill 1 unit, now has a set 2, Callista 2, level up and play the Callista, I suppose, if we're thinking about Abomination, which of course we are. Needs to find the new, however. And the Warwick as well. I don't think there was Warwick on the bench. Could be wrong about that, but they're doing actually a good job at scouting right now, so I can't confirm or deny. Looking at Ever's 100 HP. Okay, yeah, there's no Warwick here. So need to find that as well to get to the 4 Brawler, if they're thinking about that one for the early game, which it will be solid for. See what these Krugs do give. Not much.
Nothing.
A couple golds. Okay, another item, a tier. Not bad. Already do have a Shojin, however, though. All right.
So what do you think the best in slot would be for Zyra? Kind of the Shadow Shojins. I know it reduces a bit of damage, but what direction would you go in?
Yeah, probably. I believe the regular Shojins is prioritized a bit more than the Shadow variant. Shadow variant's not bad though, especially if you do have it at that point. In the early game, it's not bad to slam, but honestly, I think like Jeweled Gauntlet, even like I think Shadow Jeweled Gauntlet, with the recent changes to it, it'll just deal damage to you based off of your max mana. Zyra just wants to be the damage dealer, right? And I've seen a common pairing of Rageblade as well with it. Now, I think that last item could be a bit more flexible. It could be things like Archangels. It could be things like Deathcap as well, but you just want at least 1 Shojins and then just a lot of AP there.
Oof. It's just a tough loss after tough loss. This is another 4-unit loss, and At least, you know, you're losing a lot, so you got this losing streak, and that's the silver lining of being in 8th place with 54 HP. You know, was it 15 below 7th place? So Jose
Yeah.
going from 4th place in the first lobby to, I don't want to say fast stage, because Draconic is all about the wait and see. It's all about that eco and what you do
Yeah.
with it.
All
But
right.
still, the low HP is making me nervous.
And Jose had a lot of money, so he's using that to roll down and find some pretty good stuff. It is going to land on four Abomination, or at least has 4 Abomination. Isn't going to quite play it yet because we want to still keep the Draconics in as well. Sunfire Cape, while it's okay in the early game, it is definitely not going to be a best in slot Abomination item. Usually you'd want Warmogs or Bramble, you know, things like that instead. Sunfire going to be a bit weaker though, but need to do something to not bleed out quite as heavily. Going up against, of course, that's Admirable, who's running the pretty much exact same composition. Does have an Ashe, however, instead of the Zyra, and the Ashe is going to be a little bit weaker though. But Nunu 2 might kind of bridge that gap, and now the A-bombs are going to come out. See what they're able to get done.
Oof. All right, A-bomb versus A-bomb, and Callista's watching. Who's going to win? They both have Sunfire. So maybe Callista gets the finish here. There we go. Admirable gets the L. The better Draconic wins so far for Jose.
Here you go.
But yeah, I definitely agree that the Sunfire maybe not ideal, but it's always maybe a Frozen Heart would have came into question if you have that vest already, but then maybe those tier items, those mana items, so important for Zyra. So
yeah.
It's sometimes better to slam something not so ideal early and get value earlier for more rounds than to really go for best in slot. I learned that the hard way, trying to climb the ladder because I'm so greedy for the perfect items. But hey.
Sometimes you can be, but not all the time. That's the kind of difficult thing about TFT is you gotta assess based off of each specific lobby. At what point can I greed these items? At what point do I have to slam? What's more consistent? What's less variance? And TFT is all about the variance here. So these players, of course, recognizing this spot. The Sunfire slams are worth it. And going back to talking about the tiers, this tier was used for an Archangels for the Zyra. That's one of the items that she can, of course, do pretty decently with. Not going to be maybe the best thing, but solid enough in this round, but maybe not. Oh no, the Yasuo lives throughout the whole point. Takes down Jose Paulo. So thought maybe Jose would be able to have a chance to go on a win streak, but nope. Already just going back to some losing.
Well, even in the early show, we were talking about, was Yasuo going to be still popular? I guess with the Legionnaire buff, and then you have kind of a Yasuo 3-star nerf, sounds like just as good. I still say we saw Yasuo from Jose in first lobby, and now Yasuo from Eversum in the second lobby, so still working out. And like we saw Ever being able to have the Shadow Hodge early definitely helped out. So see now this carousel what everyone ended up with. Lots of tank items, few gloves.
Yeah. I mean, usually though, in the Yasuo board, if you're going for that composition, you're only going to be running 2 Legionnaires, and 2 Legionnaires is still the same, it's still 25%, so if Yasuo does end up getting up to 4 Legionnaires, then that'll be kind of offset in terms of the Legionnaire buffs, and then comparing the Yasuo 3 nerfs. So maybe we'll see a bit more inclination to that side. Probably unlikely though, unless you really high roll and get to level up to say, level 8 or 9 and get a Legionnaire spat in there. Legionnaire spat still could do a lot of work. Say on a Mordekaiser or on a Diana even, it can do decently on. We'll see if that actually comes into play.
Oh, someone's going for at least starting with a Nocturne, but it's level 1, and it has kind of those Aphelios. Every time I see like a Deathblade, I'm like, oh, Aphelio. So it was like the only thing that's ever worked. But we'll see what that ends up being. Speaking of Nightbringers, I mean, Asian Gamer had a tough time with Nightbringers in Lobby 1, ended up in 7th, and now sitting at 3rd place at 3-5, maybe feeling a lot more confident in what they're doing.
Yeah, at this point, Asian Gamer is not having to be like, okay, at what point do I pivot out? Am I going to go fast 8? No, there's vertical synergies that you stick with for the whole entire game. Asian Gamer is not going to have to be in the awkward pivot scenario once again, so probably will do a lot better because of it. The items are a bit awkward, though. I believe it was the Shojins on the rise only for completed item. Warmogs in the Heck Room, which is good, but don't really have Draven items, it seems like at this point. Buzzyboo does, however, though, looking at that board. But wow. The Spatch, however, could be interesting. Could make use of that a bit later on.
But it feels so bad when you're just working on Frigons, you're at Forgotten 6, you don't have a
Yeah.
Draven, but then you scroll through the lobby and someone already has their Draven at 3-6, which feels incredibly early. And I don't remember seeing a Draven on the carousel, so heck of a high roll there. At least you're still taking dubs, but you know, you're worried about, is someone hogging all the Draven? Someone already has one, so they're decided on Draven. And you don't have Draven items, so feels like obviously too late to pivot out of anything here, but do you
Yep.
still go for Draven at this point?
I mean, it looks like you. I don't want to say you have to, because you could land on a lot of AP and have Katarina be a solid Forgotten carry. Generally doesn't do quite as well, and you're going to want to land on Draven with some items eventually anyway. But it comes into what this round's going to give. It's going to give, okay, some
Oh.
solid AD items, but another Rod for AP. Probably going to level to 6 here and roll at least a little bit. Maybe land on one Rel or something. Gonna just put in the Sejuani. That's gonna fill the Cavalier buff, make that Hacker a bit more survivable. It's still just an awkward spot for Asian Gamer, right? Because of exactly what you mentioned with Buzzy Boo already having a Draven, already having it fully itemized. We know that Buzzy Boo loves Forgottens and plays super well with it because of that 85 HP win at game number 1. It's hard to look at that and contest it and think that you're gonna do better, especially from this spot.
I guess if I were to just get like a telescope out, I can maybe see like a Vel'Koz angle. You know, you have your Rel that could pair with the Cav that's already out there, and you maybe just get away with the 3 redeemed. You could get Vel'Koz, Rel, and I guess he's holding onto a Syndra on the bench. So there's an
Yeah.
angle if you look, if you squint hard enough, and you're picking up Dawnbringers because you're hoping for the best, but feeling like you need 4 or 6 Dawnbringers to really get Karma going, or
Yeah.
at least have a sustainable board. But this is tough because it sounds like Asian Gamer. It sounds, I can't hear them, but it looks like they're thinking about it. But hey, now that you have a Draven, you're praying. You're like, thank God I didn't have to pivot off of this.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. You definitely would have to squint to see that pivot. It could come through and it could work out, but it's kind of like, it never feels good to do unless you're like rolling for the Draven. You actually land on like 3 Vel'Kozes or like 3 Karmas in a roll, then maybe you can think about it at that point. But a lot of specific scenarios are gonna have to come through. But that probably won't happen because Asian Gamer did, fortunately, pick up this Draven. Still, though, the question of items for the Draven, there's really none right now. Tier's not going to be anything unless it's maybe a Hodge in the future. Still a spat, just they are not doing anything because you run into Aki, who's playing yet again another Dawnbringer board and has 3 fantastic items in the Karma already.
Yeah, it's seen a lot of people just not prefer to put the Rage Blade on Draven because usually you have that second Legionnaire in with like a Mord, like literally any Legionnaire will do well. Just get that 25%, attack speed from Legionnaire, but like didn't we have a Last Whisper? Maybe I was thinking about the wrong board. It's the other Draven that had the Last Whisper, but
Yeah.
hey, the Death Blade, and speaking of that Last Whisper, is going to the Ash for That's Admirable's board, who's sitting at 6th place.
Oh, and this is the conversation I think we're having a little bit as well. If this Draconic Abomination board can utilize Ashe as a carry over Zyra, and it looks like when the items just give you all attack damage items and literally no rods or tears, I think. Am I see this correctly? I gotta do a little double take. Yeah, there's no tears or rods here, so at that point you kind of gotta go for the Ashe. Unfortunate thing is that this Ashe would benefit very, very heavily from having a Shadow Runeance right now, but that has to go on the Abomination because that's a best in slot Abomination item. With that, the Ashe is going to be a lot weaker, and Abomination, fortunately, is strong enough to turn this loss streak around, get this win. Still not feeling amazing, but at least is in the middle of the pack in HP. 43 right now. The only real outliers here are Buzzy Boo and Ever, all the way at the top in the 80s, but Jose in 3rd with 50.
It's just rough with this Ashe because, like you said, no rune odds means you're just only doing single target damage unless the ult, and that doesn't really do much. But
Yeah.
and then you don't think I saw a second Ranger, so you're not getting any attack speed. So Rage Blade usually being so common on Rangers, or at least if you don't have a second one, because you need some form of attack speed. But it doesn't sound like this could be a late game carry situation, really just something to have the Draconics and something to hold on to these items. But picks up the Kale with the Shadow Glove, so at least you have the Shadow Thief's gloves, which should be the most forehead elementary thing you could think of. But what are you thinking?
Yeah, it could be Shadow TG, maybe some on the Taric. The items could end up griefing you though a little bit. From this spot, Honestly, thinking about the potential of a Shadow or a Banshee's Claw or the Shadow Shroud, one of the two I think would be fantastic. It looks like it's going to be the Banshee's Claw here. Gonna protect both the Zyra and the Ashe from an ability. I think that's gonna be the correct decision here. Allow the Ashe a bit more time, a bit more safety to be dealing out that damage, as she is going to be the carry on this team, as well as the Abomination. And that being said, all this comes through. It looks like it's gonna be another round win, taking out Domo. Domo lands on a Philios Ranger board, but being stuck on level 7 with the Philios is never going to work. That's the unfortunate reality of running Rangers. You have to high roll your early game, you have to hit level 8, get your Darius online, and that's just not the spot that Domo is in at all.
Yeah, I was about to rely totally on you for dropping that Ranger gospel, because if Rangers have costed me so much LP, 4 Rangers, it's always bad, even no matter what items I feel like I'm putting on. So, and even with the Verdant, you know, I did like that Banshee's Claw, because, you know, that Verdant 2, I think they had only 5 seconds of CC immunity, and not much is happening in the first 5 seconds. Your front line's still getting beaten in by that point, so but at least the Banshee's Claw is going to help there. Looks like some decent amount of healing from the Taric, and here comes the Abomination to clean it up.
There we go. That's Admirable has found a bit of stride in this game. Still 2 Ashes away from Ashe 3. Hopefully these Draconic Eggs will hatch on into an Ashe and get that upgrade online. One of them hatching right now. Let's see. Ooh, a Zyra instead. BG. Unlucky.
Unlucky.
Unlucky indeed. But that's admirable. It's an okay spot, I think, the top 4 of this game. Needs to find some decent items out of this neutral round. Looking at Jose, which is the direct competition. Gonna be also playing Abomination Draconic. Let's be unforgotten. Saltman is the assassin player. Alright. Heimerdinger as well, actually. I've been seeing a lot on ladder recently of players just having a strong early game and using that to pivot them into a Heimerdinger kind of route. Even if it's only Heimer 1, it's pretty good to, you know, net that top 3 finish. So gonna be looking out for that Heimer board, see how well it can do. Meanwhile, that's Admirable is going to level to 8, have about 30 gold to roll with, and does hit the Ashe 3. Now you gotta be thinking about rolling into a Rise to get that 4A bomb online. Could think about a Kindred as well, just as a good unit, and to give the Ranger buff, but for now it's just going to be Varus getting put in. And is Admiral going to slam any items right now? Is thinking about what he wants. And I mean, that's the thing about TFT sometimes. There's only so much to do in one preparation phase. Admiral probably would have slammed one thing if he had a bit more time to think about it in between those rolls.
So I'm wondering if he thinks QSS might be a play, just because he's got a threatening Zyra player. I think Jose is in 3rd right now, running that Zyra Draconic kind of reroll stuff. So it's like QSS is never bad when you have a super annoying CC comp, but he is also running a super annoying CC comp with the Ashe and the Zyra. So see what these, I mean, these components aren't speaking to me. I'm not the component whisperer. Maybe that's more of your thing, but we'll have to see what they end up picking.
Honestly, I mean, you already have a Sunfire, so that's of course not going to be the play. It really just looks like it should be a Shroud plus a Zephyr. All that utility I think is going to be really, really good for that's admirable. Shroud, you can just put these items on the bench and place them on in the round when the round starts. Is he going to have time to do both though? No. He's not. So not making those items on a unit on the bench and selling them and to be ready to place them both on immediately when the round starts is going to hurt Admirable here a decent amount. Because shrouding a Heimerdinger is insane amount of value. We don't get it here. Will the Heimer still cast? Yes, Heimer will. And that was, honestly, that was a Shroud diff right there. If that Shroud was slammed, Admirable would have won that round. Hands down.
Shroud diff. Also, it was Asian Gamer. I thought that started with a Forgotten board and now that it's later into the game, gone towards Invokers, Heimerdinger, something you were waiting to see. And I haven't gone to experiment with Heimerdinger so much. Is there preferable items, or what were your thoughts on, what was it, the Shojin's, Rageblade, something like that?
Yeah, Shojin Rageblade plus AP. I mean, yeah, it could be the Archangels. You can probably get multiple casts off those items. It could just be some, Jewel Gauntlet or Death Cap, things like that. All of them will suffice, but definitely need to start ramping up that attack speed. And get that mana online with the Shojin's Rageblade. It's looking usually pretty solid there. Over on Aki's board, Aki running 7 Dawnbringers. Has the Karma. Ooh, the Volibear actually gets taken out before it's able to cast. No revive there, of course, for the Revenants. And then the Karma spells come out, and they just take out the Ash, take out the Abomination. Admirable now is all of a sudden on elimination point. Someone to go out Nathan, now Saltman. Unfortunately, I believe the Assassins they're running, they don't end up netting out anything. So they will go out in 7th.
I'm sure Aki is just praying, though. Okay, Aki is still in, yes. Okay, Aki is just praying for that Kha'Zix, and I've never seen anyone pray so hard for a 1 cost. And it's, I fall into this pit of like, I'll never get a Dawnbringer spat. You know me, kind of glass half empty situation. You know, sell your Kha'Zix for that eco. And then, of course, you get the Dawnbringer spat like super late in the game, and you're like, oh, I wish I had that Kha'Zix now, because Dawnbringer 8, huge power spike, obviously. So sitting at Dawnbringer 7, but at least you got that Renewer 2 thanks to the Heimer, but still wishing got that Kha'Zix. So now, interesting Bloodthirster pickup.
Yeah, on the Teemo right now, I mean, BT can be okay for the Riven, but looks like it's just going to be dropping the potential 8 Dawnbringers. Oftentimes, like you were saying, yeah, you sell Kha'Zix for Econ, and you're like, oh, yeah, we'll see him again. TFT players be like, oh, you know, Kha'Zix will come back. He'll come back later, but
they never come back.
Never comes back, unfortunately. Unless you're a high roller. But, oh, this Karma already taken out, actually. The Zyra plus a little bit of extra damage means that this board's definitely going to lose. Aki recognized it, so scouting other boards. Let's see what's happening there. That's Admirable hangs on, 8 HP. Asian Gamer loses and also drops to 8. Lobby is starting to get really intense, Lemon. We're gonna be seeing our top 4 here relatively soon, if not in just this next round.
Waiting for that Syndra for the Invoker 4. So, yeah, if you're going to be giving up Dawnbringer 8, you think, okay, Kha'Zix is just out of the picture. Was it less than 10% chance? Oh, 15% chance to get a Kha'Zix. You're just not really hoping for that, holding out for that. So Invoker 4 would be your capped out board. And obviously, I mean, usually you would kind of throw off those Karma items into a Teemo or some, you know, more upgraded or a higher cost unit. But just that Bloodthirster is so ugly, and you might as well just keep your Karma since she's 2-star, but wishing you had that Syndra.
Oh man, a Phelios board from, looks like Buzzy Boo there. Only a Phelios 1 has a Darius, sure, but it's a Darius 1. Karma should win this. No? Oh my, does not. Ooh. Wow, that is not the outcome I expected of that matchup. Aphelios, Nightbringer Shield procs, lives 1 HP, same with the Ashe, and gets a very crucial arrow. I mean, this is the scenario where an Aphelios comp can work. If you're able to go 8, find a Darius, but usually you have to go Darius 2, and usually you have to find a Aphelios 2 at the very, very bare minimum as well, but hangs on even without it. That being said, that Admiral did end up going out, unfortunately, in 6th. Not having a great day today thus far.
Yeah, admirable. Sorry, 8th place in the first lobby, and now, well, yeah, I was kind of asking you, okay, is it boinked if you go out 8th place in the first lobby? You're like, no, but now it's looking more boinked than it was before. But hey, Karma's looking cute, but Karma 3 is just so out of the picture, so might as well not. But you do find that second Revenant, so at least you can get a cast off of Volibear. Yeah. But not finding that Syndra for Invoker 4, kind of sad, especially when you went for an ugly item of Bloodthirster on Teemo and you're not getting the Invoker 4, but Invoker 2 better than 0 Invoker.
Hey, maybe the BT shield will allow Teemo to be the last unit alive in a 1v1, and then, you know, he'll just be cruel and win it out. I mean, we're talking about the thinnest of margins here, and we're not going to see that come to play in this round, because Mordekaiser rocks in the back line and absolutely destroys Aki's board and Aki's chances of top 4ing this game. Asian Gamer is going to also lose out, but of course not losing out by quite as much, so he'll sneak into the top 4. And we're actually going to just be left remaining with 3 at this point.
And we were saying, I feel like since the mid-game, as soon as they hit that Zyra 3, it was like Jose was going to be a threat. for
Oh,
whoever
yep.
is in first place. And Buzzy, I feel like was going for either had the Draven or was going for a Draven board and has since swapped to the Aphelios. So feels like a hard pivot to do, and I especially have trust issues when it comes to Aphelios, always letting me down, just like most Rangers do. But if you're getting top 3 in a fight night, I believe.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. The boards are going to be Abomination, Zyra, and then it's going to be the Aphelios, and then we're seeing the Abomination board go against a Yasuo from Ever. Yasuo board looks like they're just scouting BuzzyBoo versus Ever. We're going to see how that matchup goes, and it's going to go the way of the Yasuo. However, on Jose's side, Abomination's going to beat out the Yasuo. Looks like Jose is definitely in a spot to win this whole lobby, I think, from seeing how those fights all played out. Pretty sure the Abomination board can be advantage versus both the Yasuo board and the Rangers. But if Aphelios 2 and Darius 2 can be found, it could be another story.
Oh,
and it could be another story at the Yasuo 3 as well. Sure, it is nerfed, but it is still Yasuo 3. Ever going to be so much more powerful with that now online.
Yeah, I was really surprised. Like, I usually only find best success with that Yasuo 3, but then I think the fact that they have a few more units level 3, like, yes, that Lee Sin at level 3 helps so much. Just a walking frozen heart, so annoying to deal with, and you got the redemption. Volibear is just gonna, I think, more of a distraction. They still have so much HP, and see if the Zyra can burn through it. Not a lot of frontline units with just the A-bomb, but man, he do be kicking hard.
There we go. Even with the Yasuo 3, Jose still wins out on that matchup. Abomination tanking, the Zyra CC landing on the Yasuo is going to be the nail in the coffin there for that matchup. And the Volibear, sure, Volibear is there for a little bit of CC, a little bit of Merle application, but if the Volibear does jump actually at the right time, Volibear ability does delete shields, and Nightbringers are going to be, having pretty big shields there. So if Voli jumps at the right time, that can also be a key factor in that matchup as well. Ooh, Lemon. Oh man, the Force of Darkness, is it gonna come through?
Yes, I hope so.
It's risky.
Waiting.
If we build it and lose one matchup, it could just end the game. Probably waiting for the 1v1. Could be a first.
Maybe you take one more L. You take one more L, and I think you should survive with 25 HP, and then you're like, okay, once I'm at 1 HP, it's all or nothing.
Exactly.
Shadow Force of Nature or nothing.
Yeah, and wants to find good units to put in, because right now it'd just be, like 2 Kindreds, or a Kindred plus another Ivern 1. Not really good enough. The Volley 2, though, is going to be really good, but jumps kind of the wrong way. Doesn't jump into the Aphelios, but Aphelios even still is still CC'd the whole time. Another Zyra cast takes it out.
Oh.
It's gonna be Darius, though. Darius 2. And Diana still alive against Abomination. Abomination gets the ability, gets the cast off, and Diana can only dodge so much. Cannot dodge enough, though. BuzzyBoo does fall. Ever wins out on whoever's ghost they were facing. But the Kindred 2 comes through in a Volibear potential. This is looking so nice, actually, for a Force of Darkness. Even putting in a Volibear 1 is really good against both matchups, because they both have shields with the Nightbringers. So yeah, that's going to be the play here. Oh, this is so good. So many, 11 units on the board. Plus the wolf from Kindred makes it look like
you're just
like
not going to play
units.
the game. You got Rise CC, Zyra CC, 2 Volibears.
Oh, no.
And you got an Abomination. Good. So you technically have even more units with Abomination who's going to come out. So this Yasuo is just straight up not going to have a good time.
13 units kind of on the board being filled. One Volibear stun comes through into the Yasuo. Jose scouting out the matchup as well. Yasuo is still alive in the back line. Kindred ult comes through, and Abomination comes through as well, and yeah, there's just no way, absolutely no way that this can lose a board, it seems like. But BuzzyBoo wins the matchup versus, yeah, even Asian Gamer typing in chat, what even is 4 Ranger? It actually wins against Lee 3 and Yasuo 3. I wouldn't have expected it myself, but 4 Rangers coming up pretty big, and again, that's a scenario where you actually can do it, is when you go 8 and hit Darius 2, and BuzzyBoo has it.
Are you thinking, okay, with the Morgana, do you need more Mystics? Does it sound like it? But thinking about it, just based on where they're putting their mouse, but I feel like this is just fully capped out board. You're win streaking, BuzzyBoo 6 HP. The Hodge, I mean, pretty flexible item. Literally anyone can use this.
Yeah.
But you also got to think who's you know, you got to think about who's donating that item to the Abomination. You don't want to mess that up. Even though you have so many units, your Abomination is like an afterthought at this point.
Yeah, honestly, it could be better than the gargoyles for the A bomb. So you could consider putting it on, say, a brand. We'll see, though. I honestly don't even know if it matters where this Hodge goes. It could still be on the bench, and Jose might be able to win this game out. Where's it up going?
Do you just give it for the mana? Okay. So I was like thinking about Lulu having maybe a little bit more mana might help, but since Garen also does a decent amount of damage, might as well proc up your 5 cost. But oh, yep, there's the first Volibear ult, and see if Ever survives this.
Okay, the second Volibear goes into Revenant State, but the second one comes through, deletes the Yasuo shield, and now the CC comes through as well. This is just the same story again and again. Ever gonna drop out in that matchup. BuzzyBoo looks like they were going to win theirs. Oh, maybe not though. The Zyra's still alive versus the Kindred. BuzzyBoo follows another double kill scenario to end off the game, but this time it's gonna be Jose Paulo coming out with the victory. And no surprise there. Jose's board was absolutely nuts, Lemon. There's really nothing else to say about that one.
You're just kicking and screaming of happiness if you get a late Shadow Force of Nature. Yeah, that is insane. How, because at this point, you know, you're on the one life. Might as well just gamble and put it all in. But once our leaderboard is done, we'll see who is at the top so far, halfway through our show. But someone who's maybe not having a so fun time. I'm thinking Domo, that's admirable with 2 bottom 4 places among others.
Yeah, I mean, it's not quite doomed for them on the day. They still could have a couple of good games in games 3 and 4 and sneak into the top 3. Contesting the victory might be a bit harder, but that being said, let's see where all these scores are going to be at this point. It is BuzzyBoo in first place with the game number 1 victory and the 3rd place in game number 2. 17 points. Jose Paulo, though, still having a pretty good day. A 4th, then a 1st for 16 points. Aki and Ever with 12 points apiece. Saltman in 5th with 9. Age Gamer in 6th with 8. And for, as you were saying, Domo, and that's admirable. Not having a great start with 4 points apiece. But I have to see what happens in games 3 and 4. Still kind of anyone's game, but what have you noticed that we've seen thus far? Kind of what's sticking out in your mind from the competition that we've seen here?
Well, we had a bunch of people, even in the second lobby, go for Forgotten Dravens, and I'm like, getting my telescope out. I ain't seen no Dravens that late game. It's like everyone didn't want to bully each other off. Everyone was so polite, they pivoted to other compositions, whether it's Aphelios or others. I think, I was at Asian Gamer, and it was Buzz. So Asian Gamer went from Forgotten to Heimerdinger, and then we had Buzz go from Draven, or Draven Forgotten-ish board to Aphelios. So kind of surprising Draven didn't last that long. And things like skirmishers, things like assassins, you know, generally we know in the meta they're pretty weak, but no surprise that they've been bottom 4ing to past 2 lobbies.
I'd love to see an assassins pop off. Honestly, assassins are one of my favorite boards. I just like seeing units jump to the backline and just, you know, wreak absolute havoc back there, but not really quite good enough as some of the nerfs did come through in recent patches. But I would like to see still players experiment with it, especially if you get a good opener for it. Like if you hit it early Nocturne 2 with like a Shadow Maria and something like that could be an option if you don't land these other units. And we know that these players are going to be willing to pivot, right? We saw the Dravens, as you were just mentioning, pivot to completely different boards. Like I wasn't expecting to see a Aphelios ran, but it still, it got there and it did pretty well. So, I mean, the opportunity is there. It's not just 1 or 2 comps that are good. You can play a plethora of them. We know as well that Yasuo is still being prioritized, still being played, and still doing relatively well as well. So, yeah, I mean, that is it for now, though. 2 games down, so we'll be heading to a quick break, but don't go anywhere, as we'll be returning in just a few minutes for the last 2 games of this week's Fight Night Rising. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fight Night Rising. 2 games are in the books. We still got 2 more left to go, and anything could happen, of course. This is going to be the final Fight Night Rising of Set 5. Taking a couple weeks off, and then going to be back for Set 5.5. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. And I think you asked me a little bit earlier, 11, about my Set 5.5 thoughts. But do you have anything else that stuck out to you as we anticipate that one with a lot of excitement?
Um, maybe I'm a little bit happy shadow items are going away just because I was really excited at the start of the set because I'm like, oh, this is like we're going from checkers to 3D chess, like because there's just so much more thought you have to give to items. But then, like you kind of alluded to at the start of the show, it just kind of actually reduced the flexibility in radiant items. I mean, it's just if you think about it, it's just shadow items with no downside. So radiant items, which I'm super stoked about. I don't know how I haven't played PvE yet, so I might be exposing myself here, but I don't know.
Sorry, me neither.
Really, I don't know how balanced all of that's gonna be.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about PvE is even if stuff that's dominating right now, like Riot Team does, with all the flack we will give them, they do a really good job at balancing and taking PvE feedback and making it into a pretty nice final product. So I believe in Mortdog and the rest of the team there to give a great set 5.5. Now I was seeing a bit of commentary on it actually as well. From who is it? I think it was Raditz, a very well-known TFT streamer and presence in the community, was saying it kind of felt more like set 5.25 as opposed to 5.5 because not a lot of things changed. There's just like one, big vertical trait being introduced with Sentinel, I believe. Like not really much else that's going to be, pivoting out of these kind of late game vertical comps, but gonna have to see, gonna have to wait for it to really shape up and see how it plays to make any definitive statements on that matter. So excited to get into that when we do get there. But for now, still, of course, going to be on the set 5. Still got to look at all of these, Dawnbringer boards, these Yasuos for the time being, because with Dragon Slayers being taken out 5.5, Yasuo comp's probably just dead, honestly, because Yasuo gets a lot of the power from Dragon Slayers, giving him the AP.
Yeah, I wonder. I was gonna say RIP 1L, 1 tier in chat for all the Skirmisher 1-tricks, Skirmisher mains out there, just with Trundle and Pantheon, just all of Dragon Slayers being gone. So L for that, but I'm wondering how things are going to be shaping up, especially with the new traits introduced. Didn't get to look too much into it, but man, it's just a whole new learning curve that everyone has to go through because it's still with all these new traits, it's going to be a whole different meta.
It really is. It's so exciting to learn it. It's like, each PvE for new sets and new half sets, things like that. It's always just such an exciting and fun time because you get to, just take the one thing that you like and force it and hopefully it works out. But if it doesn't, they're like, oh, okay, whatever. Maybe they'll buff it when we do get into, the release of it. Maybe not, but you can always hold out hope. And, I think you mentioned this before during the last game. You kind of look at things the glass half empty, but maybe you could look at the glass half full at some points. We're anticipating changes. Maybe you can flip flop that a little bit.
Oh, yeah, because I never expect emblems or spats or anything like that. I think I read something about an emblem armory, so that solves all of my problems, except now I have to roll the dice for all the different emblems I could possibly get. But it's really cool to have an emblem armory. I know there's already some emblems sometimes in these armories, but one dedicated sounds fun.
That is going to be a pretty nifty change, and you can get emblem, I believe, for literally every single synergy in 5.5, I believe. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to make use of, and probably go into some pretty crazy things. But yeah, we're just waiting for our game number 3 to load in, and the game is ready, I believe we're hearing. So let's go in and hop on into that. Great timing there, as we're going to be on board with Buzzy Boo. Currently in the lead, has 17 points, did win, I believe it was game number 1, very dominantly. Ended up getting 3rd in the last game. That was with the Phelios board.
Phelios, yeah.
Yeah, the Phelios Darius. And the Phelios is not we talk about it, it's not really the pivot that we expected, but it worked out really well, honestly. It kind of fortunate that it has to go into a Yasuo Lee Sin 3, board, and then into whatever madness Jose was running with having 11, 12 units on the board with Abomination and Zyra board. That was just way too strong. But Buzzy Boo still did really well with what he was presented. So excited to see how specifically they handle the early game, because Buzzy Boo has these really, really great early boards to set up for these late game transitions.
Yeah, kind of a screaming hellion right now when he had 3 in the shop, and 1 I think he picked up from Carousel. But in
Yeah.
terms of what he's been running in the first 2 lobbies, he was our first place in lobby 1 with a Draven, I think with the stage 4 Carousel Draven with a sword, so got super lucky there. And then still kind of was running Forgotten's a lot in that second lobby. It seemed like he was building towards a Draven board, but then ended up pivoting to Aphelios later on, with the Last Whisper, Deathblade. So I'm thinking maybe with so many people contesting Forgotten, it gets really annoying. Especially you don't want to be fighting over Dravens because the Draven one's just not going to be doing the job. But for now, it is Hellions, although there's some Forgottens in his shop, including actually 3 of them.
Yeah, there's a Warwick, there's a Hecarim as well. There's a couple of swords, and that's not going to be great for Ziggs to hold on to early. Sure, one of the Ziggs was from Carousel, so, you just take the upgrade. Gonna be selling the Thresh in favor of the Hecarim, and that's pretty much always a worth trade. But not a lot of gold here. So in order to level up, would have to sell both the Kennen and the Hecarim to put just a tier 1 Warwick in, but that's of course not worth it. Instead, it's just 3 Hellions for now, and Kennen goes in.
Nothing really slammable either with 2 swords and just the rod. But at least, good choice also on the Cav that he picked up there. Because then that fits well with the Kled, but going with now just the 3 Hellion with Kennen. See what this ends up. On the other side, Jose is starting with an Assassin opener.
Yeah, Kha'Zix too. Great unit to at least get some pickoffs in the early game, if not just be able to secure a round win. But the Hellions, they are pretty annoying. They're going to be coming back through that portal, deal a lot more damage. Looks like the Kha'Zix may end up actually falling, even though it was level 4 versus level 3. Hate to see it, but that's the power of Hellions in the early game.
At least Kha'Zix usually does so much work, especially upgraded this early, so I'm not too worried about losing that much, HP.
Yeah.
Maybe Kha'Zix would have more fun if, there's a Dawnbringer somewhere in there, like just another one to help out, like a Gragas, Kha'Zix. Assassins, especially with those LeBlanc nerfs, just Assassins make me sad. I used to love running Nocturne Blender too, but it's never gets me. I would say never gets me a top 4, but it's like so reliant, I feel like, on the 3 stars and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. You really do got to think about the 3 stars when you're going for Assassins, and if you're not hitting it, it's really, really risky. Really, really back and forth in the mid game, especially when you get into late game scenarios. For now, however, BuzzyBoo does decide to slam the Deathblade. Not bad for value, can put the rod on the Ziggs as well for a bit of extra ability damage, and has the item remover as well to be able to transfer those items even if they want to remain with the Ziggs for a bit longer. Deathblade could make pretty good use on the Kled if we're going to be going for a 5 Hellion kind of early game. Because I believe that's what BuzzyBoo did in game number 1 as well, was played Hellions and pivoted into Forgottens, which honestly looks like BuzzyBoo is setting up for the exact same thing right now.
Yeah, because I was about to ask with the Deathblade Slam, it's not the most flexible item I've ever seen, and Deathblade always screams Aphelios to me, but are there other champs that you like to see Deathblades on?
Yeah, it could function on Draven as well. Draven, obviously a very good attack damage holder, can pair that with the Runeans and just get some good value from that. But yeah, Aphelios will be generally getting most value off of the Deathblade, but still just any AD user, Ashe as well, could use it if we're thinking about, these Draconic plus Abomination players. Probably
do you need
it'll be Draven here, however.
Do you need the Runaan's Hurricanes with the Deathblade? I feel like single target Deathblade takes a while to get that first unit down, and then you're not getting as many stacks.
Yeah, it's gonna be definitely way better with the Runeans, so you definitely want to look to pair those. If you don't, it's still okay, but you definitely would rather other items at that point, say like the IEs, Bloodthirsters, Last Whispers, and things like that.
So far, so good for Buzzy. Got just the 2 brawlers to deal with, and your Ziggs hasn't even had to Hellion reform yet. Yeah. Rebirth? I don't even know what to Hellion respawn. I guess respawn is fine, but on a 3 streak now.
You're talking through that. I was like, I don't even know what I would say either, but I think respawn is just
respawn makes the most sense.
It makes the most sense. That's what I'm comfortable landing on here. I like that one. BuzzyBoo. Wow, BuzzyBoo doesn't even pick last in Carousel. BuzzyBoo is across from Ever, so they actually win out on the 33% chance to pick 3rd there. So they actually get the bow, which means they can make Runeans right now and just be that much more powerful and be that much more strong in protecting their streak, leading into Krogs. Lucky. Just high roll.
So I'm wondering if you
Oh,
think about a
and
Rage
blue.
Blade later, and oh, well, that's great. Well, there's the Runons. Do you
What
get
am
rid
I
of these
watching?
Forgottens now for 10 gold, or
Oh, I mean, that's tempting. That is tempting, and it looks like that's what Buzzy Boo is going to opt to do. The work and the Van at least are not going to be that appealing. And yeah, just going to be selling the Hecarim. And we still can think about running Forgottens later, but you can just roll into them once you get all the econ to do so. Hellions right now are probably going to carry you for the rest of this stage, as well as all of Stage 3. Stage 4 is going to get a bit more iffy, but Stage 2 and 3, feeling pretty good about that.
we haven't seen a lot of Saltman yet. So I'm glad we get this POV. I think in the last lobby, you mentioned that he was running Assassins, dropped out in 7th place. Saltman, but did well in the first lobby. I think it was 3rd place with an Abomination Zyra comp. So kind of middle of the pack.
Yeah, 3rd place had 5A bomb actually in game number 1. That was fantastic. Tried his hand at Assassins, which was a little underwhelming, I guess is the nicest way to say that. But for now, looking like they want to go Lux. Lux was nerfed a couple patches ago, so she's not as dominant, but still, the Rage Blade plus the Shojins are 2 best in slot items on her. Archangels being the 3rd. Need to hit a Lux, however, first.
Yeah, I was about to ask, because I know they've been nerfing Redeemed and nerfing Lux. So is she still good?
Yeah, I mean she's still good. I would say she still can be netting some wins. Not as oppressive, but she just was a little bit too OP, honestly, before. Still gonna be solid now, especially if you pair her with a Vel'Koz with some items, get them to tier 2, get your Rel frontline online. Like Redeem comp still farms.
Awesome.
Man's gonna look for that one in this round.
So much AP, and so much mana items are demanded. So
yeah,
doesn't look like anything. I mean, gotta also balance that with tank items, which I know is a pitfall I get into. That thanks to Jirachi's coaching, I've been learning how to balance tank items a lot better. But when you have 2 carries like that, that's sometimes how you forget your tank item, your front line, what's really making space for the Vel'Koz or even the Lux. You know, the shields are great, but see if it's enough.
It's just like, I mean, you take TFT, you take Summoner's Rift, you take whatever. If your backline carries have no protection, they're just gonna get, get aggressed upon, get dove onto, and still just fall. And yeah, definitely some great advice there. Jirachi, a great player, so fantastic to do some good coaching as well.
Yeah, I know tons of players been offering coaching. It's such a cool revenue stream for them. I mean, if you can do it yourself, you could teach it for sure.
100%. Absolutely love. There's a lot of TFT people willing to coach. So if you ever are out there, even like I think it is the like official TFT Discord, there's some people coaching there. So if you're watching this stream, want to level up your TFT game, you can find coaching out there. Maybe even some of these players you're watching right now compete. Could be the ones that end up teaching you.
Well, there's a Lux that you were hoping about it, and then it's kind of just surviving, not really adding any synergies, but great CC, and it's a level 2 unit, so, or a 2-star unit, so.
Yeah. And going to be protected a bit by these Lux shields as well. Going to be able to eventually get the ultimate, get back into the backline. Lux gets hooked a little bit forward, but she's going to be ramping up this Rage Blade the whole entire time, and it does kind of get one more stun off, maybe, but no, he doesn't get it off, so yeah, this matchup will indeed go over to the way of Domo. Varus 2 and a Lux. Be a bit better. Redeemed versus Redeemed. Has the Ashe in there for the Ranger buff as well. Asian Gamer, 54 HP already on 3-2. 3-1 even after he lost that round had that HP. Kind of yikes.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's just like no damage, right? I mean the 1-star Riven's not gonna do anything even with the Legionnaire, and the Kennon's cute, but just the CC bot, especially with no Morello or anything like that. So glad the Varus made its way in once they leveled, but no damage items. You're not and no Ranger buff. Low expectations here. Yeah,
this board as well. Saltman could have maybe rolled to hit some pairs. I guess only pair they really have is going to be the Leona. Kind of a long way off of getting the Lux or Varus upgrades. We'll see what happens there. Still 80 HP, respectable HP number. Up against Asian Gamer, who is the super low player I was just talking about, and they're running Some Draconics it's looking like right now, but blue buff on the Udyr, Shadow Warmogs on the Gragas, looking a little weird, but it
Little
might be good
sus.
enough. Yeah, might be good enough right now.
So you're thinking, okay, because you don't want to put that on a brand, because then you don't want the Abomination. The Abomination's not going to do anything with that blue buff, and then Zyra maybe, but maybe preferring Shojins, but maybe not wanting to hold out for a sword to go for a Shojins, but yeah, surprised that blue buff's maybe not on Zyra.
Yeah, curious to see where that goes in the meantime, because, I mean, obviously not the best right now. It could be good enough to win against Saltman, but Saltman's in, kind of an awkward spot, not having great frontline. Cannon's going to be able to get one ult off, probably that's it. Looks not tier 2'd. Buzzy Boo, still 100 HP. The Hellions, I'm talking about it. They're amazing for stage 2, and even probably all of stage 3. Buzzy Boo's gonna be in the same spot where they can level to 7 after this carousel as well, be even more aggressive about protecting the win streak. Buzzy Boo's just playing so well today.
It's another A-bomb opener, this time from Aki. The Shadow Jewel Gauntlet, I think the main damage item. Oh, there's even a death cap on the new, so that's great.
Death Cap,
On a
Death
CC,
Cap's
but no
very,
damage.
very good. Yeah, Death Cap's one of the best items for the A-bomb actually. With the attack speed actually and the healing that's going to be giving, doesn't even need the Abomination to come out here actually. That's how weak Saltman is, but yeah, still good items for the A-bomb thus far. Jewel Gauntlet less so, but still not bad at this point in the game.
I always assume tank. When I see a tank, I'm like tank items, but makes sense that you're only putting that on for the donation to the A-bomb society. So now let's go check on That's Admirable, who's all caps in chat.
I think he's talking about this Tarek, the Shadow Bows looking like, let's see, is he gonna get it?
Oh.
Okay, he gets it. There we go.
OMG.
All caps.
What is he
Admirable.
up to?
Oh, it's a first.
It's a first.
Let's see what Admirable's up to right here. It's gonna be Forgotten's.
Oh.
Oh, the final Whisper gonna be coming through for this Draven. The Risk Thirster is already on there as well. The 6 Forgotten's come through. That's Admirable has stabilized, it looks like. 72 HP, not bad. Can it actually be a first, though? We saw Buzzy Boo take this similar composition and get a first with that game number 1. That's Admirable and not quite as good of a position, seeing as Buzzy Boo won that game with 85 HP and Admirable is already down to 72. But still pretty good right now for having this Draven with full 3 completed items.
Just, I like the positioning to try and dodge some of these threshes. At least you had kind of the Vayne and anything, just bait, thresh bait in those corners so they don't get hooked. So this Draven has barely been touched, and then you get, I think that's still that attack speed bonus with the Risk Thirster once you heal back up, and then Final Whisper, such a popular item, the shred through everything. So yeah, I wouldn't say I don't know if it's a guaranteed first, but top 4. I like the confidence though, and I wonder what the cloak's gonna become on Khroen. Are we thinking like Ionic or Gargoyle? Literally anything, I guess.
It could be Gargoyles. I think Shadow Ionic is generally really good for the Khroen. He's going to be living a very long time, able to stack up that AP and even be in scenarios where he's like 1v3 the end and maybe winning out in those scenarios as well. Would like to see that come through as a Shadow Ionic or Ionic Dark Spark. There's already, speaking of Forgotten, there's already 4 Shadow components on 2 on the Draven, 2 on the Khroen, so getting all of those bonuses there. That's admirable. I'm there with you.
Volley.
I don't know if it's a first, but oh my gosh, Saltman, a stage 3 volley.
And Ivern too. I mean, maybe I'm less surprised about that because there is we are staring at a 4-cost Draven, but yeah, the volley was a bit surprising.
Oh, for sure. Having both of them right now is really, really high roll, but not going to be enough.
Still got stomped. Yeah.
Still got stomped. Very, very accurate because got literally 6-0 that matchup. Oof. Asian Gamer though, still lower in HP. Yeah, Bully Ivern pretty good. You can scale with that. You can do something, but Assaultman needs to land on some of these other redeemed units first before they can think about going into these Volley Iverns, I believe. Asian Gamer, I mean, okay, we got a lot of money. We got some Draconics. We want to be able to go 8 and probably pivot into Dawnbringer, it looks like. Another Asian Gamer pivot. But is it going to be enough? Wow, 3-7. This is some of the highest gold generation that I think ever seen. I mean, it's going to come through because of Draconics and because of playing the Econ so well. But you got to be considering your HP right now. Like, I don't know if it's going to be enough. You have to level to 8, have 40 goldish to roll down with, and get lucky. If you don't land on a Garen and a Karma here, this game's probably just a bot 4. But
got a lot of decent amount of gold to roll down, and now we're just picking up everything and everything. There's the Karma and the Ivern. You got the blue buff, you got a death cap. So, doesn't get better than that. And the double Warmogs is incredibly terrible. I'm squinting and I can't see the amount of HP on that Gragas, so that's going to help.
Oh my gosh, Asian Gamer buys a Teemo as well. -6 HP, doesn't even play it right now. Builds the death cap and the blue buff on the Karma. Those are great items. Great items on the Gragas right now, because of course they're going to turn into a Garen at some point.
Maybe I'm slightly surprised there's no static Shiv being... I mean, why not? But maybe holding out for chickens and see what else they can do.
Static Shiv, not amazing. It does shred some MR, but Garen is going to kind of fill that role as well once we get him online. Now, that being said, if we never find Garen, then sure, maybe Shiv will have a bit more value there. But Asian Gamer really holding out for this kind of first or 8th risky playstyle of hitting these late game units. And I think, kind of has to at this point because we're already so low. Oh man, still hatching a Draconic Egg. Just get a bit more gold to roll with. Riven 2. Soraka 2 is already there. Okay, Karma pair. Not bad. Nidalee.
Ooh. Yeah, we're upgrading our board. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Okay, there's Dawnbringer 6 getting rid of that Brawler 2. And do we care about... At least we're getting Invoker 2, but you lose the Ivern. So thoughts on Ivern versus Teemo for Invoker 2?
If a Teemo has no items, probably Ivern every time, because Teemo's not going to do much. He's going to have a bit of utility, right? If he gets the shrooms off and that attack speed reduction, it can be decent, but I think the front line's going to be a bit more powerful. Allow the Karma time to cast, and Karma does live through the Vel'Koz from Saltman. Teemo shrooms come through. They don't really do too much, but sure, they do a little bit. 1900 damage from the Teemo. I guess that's not bad. Maybe the Teemo's a bit more value in certain matchups just because Grog is already filling that tank role. Is so hard to kill with all this HP. So Ivern's not quite as needed. And oh man, that Karma 2. Great time to hit that. Yeah, that helps a whole ton. That's half the board power right now, just upgraded.
Yeah, because you have either Ivern CC of that kind of small area around him, or you have maybe a huge area of attack speed being reduced. But now you have an Ivern 2.
Yeah, now you sell the Teemo for the Ivern 2. I mean, it's Ivern 2.
But do you sell it? I mean, it costed his blood and sweat, Khroen.
It did. And yeah,
Invoker 4
not
is always attractive.
Ivern. Oh, man. Hey. Asian Gamer decides Teemo's worth it. And I'm going to trust Asian Gamer's decision here. I think that Teemo damage is still pretty decent. The front line's still great with the Gragas and the Rel too. Teemo shrooms are doing work.
Just have your cake and eat it too. You can just lock that board, get it next time.
True. Could consider doing that. Will he do it though? The Karma, of course, is going to win. The Dawnbringers are stable.
Oh, block it. Yeah.
There we go.
You can have two things. Oh, Saltman on 1 HP. Ooh, 2 HP actually.
Yeah, 2 HP on stage 4 carousel? Yikes.
Unlucky.
Unlucky is definitely one word for it.
Well, Saltman was the redeemed Volibear Ivern frontline, so definitely maybe not hitting whatever they're trying to do, whether it's Kale or something like that, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it looks like they're kind of just like trapped into this Lux board, and if your board is weak with redeemed early, you're still going to lose your matchups like 4-0, 5-0 like we saw a lot, and if you don't have the upgrade on the Rel and good tank items, as we were discussing earlier as well, your comp's just going to, end up falling. And with this, Asian Gamer hits the Ivern 2 at the locked shop, has the potential to put, some Renewer buffs in if we want to drop 6 Dawnbringer, and yeah, with the Heimerdinger coming in as well, 4 Renewers, hey, this is honestly pretty good with the Spat pick.
Would you put the Renewer on Karma just because, you get mana generation if you're at full HP, right? Or or you put it on a frontline unit? What's the best choice?
Yeah, so the Karma is going to be, I think, having enough mana already just, through her having the blue buff to get her to that, 10 mana state where she's going to just be chaining ults. So The front line's good enough as well, so it goes in the Teemo. I don't mind that decision. It's either Teemo or the front line Garen. We don't have a Garen yet, so that's going to be the option.
I mean, that utility of, I guess, Teemo does do a lot of damage, but reducing attack speed helps so much for your Karma just to buy time. And then there's that part where you have that open slot on Karma. So these upcoming carousels with full items, you really can have your choice of what that third damage item is going to be.
Hopefully land on something good. Still have the Raptors around to give some components. The bow is what Asian Gamer has left on the bench, and bow is not really a good item in this composition. Even if we think about the tank items like Titans is okay for the Garen. Actually pretty good, honestly. The ZZ Rot, not so much. Probably just Titans gonna be the best option here at this point.
Aki with the Abomination opener and still sticking through it. 4-6, I believe, and just scouting. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta dodge a Volibear and a double Warmog Gragas, okay. But he's putting everything to the left side.
Yeah, runs into the Gragas, runs into Asian Gamer. Abomination. 4 Abomination coming through. Let's see. Not looking good though. Yeah, Dash is the opposite side of the Karma. Everything else is already dead. The Gragas is tanking so much. That is a huge loss there.
Yeah, just with Abominations, I mean, against a Karma, you're just hoping when you're going up against Karma that you're trying to kill the board, kill the front line before Karma gets to the perma ult state. Because once it gets to that state, unless you got like crazy shields with Lux or something, it just feels like Karma wrecks everything. And Abomination, this board doesn't feel like it does that much damage. With a Titans and a Shojins, and then you're just a Jewel Gauntlet on Bran. I'm wondering where the damage is going to come from, and if it's even too late to pivot because they're at 24 HP.
Yeah, I mean, level 7 already. I mean, level 7 still, I guess. Sure, we have 50 gold. We're almost to level 8. But it's just not looking good enough, really. The pivot probably has to come through to something else, but it's really only, look at these items, like, what, Vel'Koz, but we don't really have any redeems. It's just rough. Oh, Heimer, that's, okay, that's the one thing that we could go into, is Heimer. Heimer, Voli, Ivern, run all of those. Might be stable. But that means you have to drop the Abominations, at least some of them. And yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Teemo. Oh, we dodged the Teemo.
Yeah, a bit low at this point to think about that. Heimer's gonna be the carry here. 2 Invoker,
Ooh, Karma?
2 Renewer.
No Dawn. Oh, there is Dawn's. Okay, so
There's a
maybe
couple.
wishing you had Dawn 4, but
Oh, Karma's gonna get these items instead of the Heimer, actually. Interesting. Going up against that's admirable with the Forgotten board. The Draven is now tier 2'd. And the Gargoyle did come through for the Hecarim after all.
ooh, scary Draven.
Very
And,
scary
oh,
Draven.
Even found the Kindred, so it's just feeling like this Draven's gonna be untouchable, and Saltman officially out. And you have Aki on 1 life, and maybe Admirable calling that first place not too wrong so far. Very successful. Of course, it's very tight in that top 4 area, but
Oh yeah.
yeah.
That top 4 is super close. This matchup kind of close as well. Another Heimerdinger player. Simon's going to be carrying with a couple Rage Blades and a Giant Slayer, I think that was. Ooh, okay, the Garen gets found. This board has landed to be pretty nice for Aki. Unfortunately, they are 1 life remaining probably, and they're sitting on a lot of pairs. Mainly, though, the Karma and the Voli are the biggest ones. Voli was one of the buffs, I believe, that came through on this patch. The tier 2 Volibear does do a bit more damage, and does stun for slightly longer for 0.5 more seconds. No Voli 2 yet, however, but we do get the Karma 2, and that's huge.
Interesting putting the QSS on the Volibear, even with the Revenant, which should be able to get that cast off no matter, but so far this is a good Karma pivot, and able to get that level, the 2-star Karma, even with another person, I think, going Karma in this lobby.
Yeah,
so,
that's lucky.
So far, that is good.
Jose taking a big hit there. Domo as well. Domo drops to 10 HP. This lobby is really close. One of the closer lobbies I think we've had. No one's really running away with the game. Punishing, other players greatly. This matchup, though, gonna go heavily in favor of Asian Gamer, it looks like. Asian Gamer dropped very low, but again, that's where they're most comfortable at. They dropped super low, lowest HP by far in the lobby, but still are winning and actually have, our top 4 at this point, 22 HP on a win streak.
I need you to break down this board for me. Why we have skirmishers and redeemed? And I usually don't see the two intertwined like this. And then you have a mix of damage, utility, and tank on Pantheon. We love Pantheon in this house, but what's going on here, Khroen?
So, yeah, Jose's trying to be what Mort Dog likes to call an innovator right now. And as it turns out, oftentimes, not every single time, but oftentimes innovating this heavily in set 5 doesn't really work out as well as you might hope or expect. In this matchup, actually, it's doing pretty well. The Pantheon's a fantastic frontline unit, gets a bit more tankiness with the skirmisher shields. The Varus is decent for redeemed. Usually play it with 6 redeemed, but didn't hit on the good redeems this matchup.
Is it that weird Varus Pantheon build I've been hearing about? Of Varus's ult is supposed to enable Pantheon. I haven't actually got to see it in person, but I wonder if it's that weird build I've been hearing about.
You're right. It is a bit of the that new build innovation there. The Varus is able to Pantheon with all of his attack damage, and like it's okay. And it might actually end up being good enough for Jose to take a top 4 here, but it was on a 3-loss streak heading into that matchup. Had a favorable matchup into the Aphelios, but it still might not end up netting Jose the top 4 here, depending on all these other matchups, seeing as Aki did hit the volley 2. Asian Gamer did take a loss in the last round, but his karma board is still pretty strong.
You just have Ever, Aki, and Asian Gamer there on 1 live, so this round could even just solidify top 4. We're gonna see how this turns up, and I'd have to report back to Boop about apparently a Varus Pantheon sort of comp, maybe making the top 4, because I know Boop is all about that innovation, but the Zephyr goes down, or the volley to just stun up the Rel.
It's one of the newer comps, I would say, in the meta. I just, maybe I'm a bit biased, against it as seeing this matchup. I mean, this matchup is, obviously you're not going to win this one. You go into that super, super high roll Asian Gamer board with the double, Garen with the Warmogs there. Jose's 8 HP. Can Ever hang on? Looks like no.
Ooh,
maybe that's
close.
Admiral going on a 5-win streak. Ever drops in 5th. Jose is looking okay. The Kindred goes in over the volley. With that, can replace the Zephyr. Gets the Ranger buff for the Varus, which is okay. Is trying to roll. It's the extra Syndra, so it can just replay that. Does fit.
So where are we going here? Because we dodged the Aphelios, so we're not thinking about Rangers anymore. So Ironclad's maybe not going to help out against Karma, though. Oof.
Okay, hits the Zephyr onto the volley. That might provide the time for this Varus Pantheon to do enough work. The Karma in the backline looks like got stunned by the Trap Claw as well. That Karma random RNG hitting into the Trap Claw early is going to be kind of rough, but it's not going to be enough for Jose's board. It's going to end up falling to the Dawmbringers, to the Garens back to back, and that's exactly what I was saying, right? This comp, like, it can be good, but I think there's definitely a lot of scenarios where it does end up falling out, and that was one of them there. Jose going to go out in 5th. Looking at Asian Gamer's perspective here, I think we're a few seconds in the past, but that's okay. It's the Renewers going against the Aphelios board.
Well, when you have a 4th place finish and a 1st place finish, maybe there's only a little bit of room for innovation. But hey, you get to report back to all your friends of like, hey, I got top 4 with the Pantheon Varus build. But no, not that. But top 4 now, Admirable, Asian Gamer, Buzzy, and Aki. And Admirable was the one who called it was a mid-early game that, as soon as they had that Shadow Bow, as soon as they found the final Whisper for their Draven, it was, quote, gonna be a first. And I'm more of a believer in the church of that's Admirable, that's for sure.
Yeah, the Admirable comeback story. I mean, it begins right now. 4 points into this game, but with this potential 1st place, could be 14. And we could set ourselves up, if not for the victory, for another top 3. and invitation back for next week. I believe last week That's Admirable got 21 points in third place. Yeah, it was 21 points in third. So it's on pace now to still get higher than that. Asian Gamer's level 9, looking for a Garen 2. Not enough HP for a Teemo 2, though, only has 11. Finds a Volibear, though, to replace the Nautilus. Solid there, can get the Revenants online. Chalice and the Teemo. Liking what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I just couldn't get any more Ironclads. So I feel like that would have been useful against That's Admirable, unless you just chalk it up to an L and don't worry about Ironclads against that Draven. More worry about taking down Buzzy Boo, somebody who's maybe more beatable at this stage, and go for second place. It's only 2 points off of first, so... But this Gragas, or sorry, not the Gragas, it's no longer Gragas, it's Garen holding those items.
Yep.
It's not going to be enough. Aki versus Admirable now.
Yeah, Buzzy Boo and Asian Gamer go out, but Asian Gamer actually gets the third place. Buzzy Boo gets fourth. They've still top four in every single game, but now, as you mentioned, it is Aki versus That's Admirable. That's Admirable has gone level 9, is running 6 Forgotten, 3 Mystics, the Lulu Kindred is in there, but this Draven, if this Draven can survive, and he probably will because of this Risk Thirster, the lifesteal is there into the Karma, even if Karma hits him. Oh no, but the damage came through at multiple sources at the exact same time. The Garen shred, and then the Karma immediately after means That's Admirable is going to be taking a loss here into the Dawmbringers. Aki, the comeback could start now for Aki in this board. 2 HP versus 46 HP, but crazier comebacks have happened before.
Oh, that's such a big loss too.
Yeah.
And now we might just be here till our hair starts falling out. You have a 2 HP gamer versus, what was it, 40-something HP gamer at the start. So, but I mean, it's level 9 versus level 8. Aki, I wonder if they were saving up towards 9, if they were even bothering with it. While as I'm sure Admirable has been level 9 for a little bit, so they're able to upgrade their board fully, minus the Lulu and Rise. But nothing much you can really do more here.
Yeah, maybe spread out the placement into the Karma a little bit. The volley stuns is going to be huge. See where it goes. Actually gets baited to jump backwards by the Warwick there. So completely missing out on CCing the Draven. Now the Rel shields come through for the Draven as well. So even if the Karma hits, yeah, Draven survives. Draven can heal up. And now the Garen's not going to be able to hit him as well. Oh, the Draven does end up actually falling, though. The Karma survives for long enough. And now it's going to be yet again the fight going over to the way of Aki. Admiral takes another hit. I mean, it could be Admiral falling next round. We could even go one more after that as well, though, because Admiral only took 12 damage there. If he loses to just 1, 2, or 3 units, he will be still surviving.
It's the ultimate showdown. Hey, that's great. Rageblade from Teemo, lots of money, and I guess hovering over Victor, but I was going to say, this is the ultimate caster curse. I mean, Admirable was, I felt like in this first place position, an actual caster curse because he is a caster, and we caster cursed it by saying it was probably going to be a first, but now after 2 L's in a row and not looking like it was going to be that close because it was a Garen with almost full HP, maybe 70% HP, and then Karma that was untouched, I really don't know how Admirable can... do more.
It's like Admirable said it first. Admirable typed out it's a first, so if it's anyone to blame, anyone to jinx it, it's Admirable. You know, can't blame us. Clearly not caster curse, but ooh, maybe what we can blame is this positioning from Aki, as the Viego's gonna jump into the back line and probably get a unit steal right here. I mean, has to go all the way through. Oh no, doesn't end up stealing the Soraka back there, and is not going to find the Karma either. Kindred ult goes through to protect the Draven. We're back to this matchup once again, with the Draven surviving for now, but it's not enough as the next Garen ultimate comes through. But again, it's only a 2-unit loss, so we're going one more. We're going one more. This will be the last round of the game.
You're just yelling through your screen like, Draven, look at the Karma! Look at her! Because you're just yelling and yelling, because this is not League of Legends where you get to control the units and who they're targeting, because feels bad if the Draven would have just looked at the Karma, who was like 2 inches away, dealt with her, maybe the Draven would have been killable. But double Warmogs, man, that was slammed since like the early game.
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that Gragas with like, we're
It's so
squinting
huge.
to look at the HP, but 4 HP versus 2, Aki not taking an L yet against Admirable. Let's see how this works.
Yet again, the Viego jumps in the back line. Gonna get stuck on the Soraka, it looks like, yet again, however. And the CC lands on the Draven, the Iron Stun, then the volley. This is not going to work out well for Admirable. The Draven's not going to be able to heal up enough this time around, it looks like, or will he? He's trying his best, but this time actually is on the Karma. I've caster cursed this matchup. Draven survived with 1 HP this whole time. Now can get through the Garen. That's Admirable. Takes 3 losses in a row, but wins the 4th and wins game number 3. My God, when I thought everything was said and done there, Admiral pulls out what seems like the impossible.
The caster curse onion that just happened of layers and layers of us saying, okay, it's a first. Wait, not a first. He screwed himself over. Now it's a first. And all about, what I say, the Draven looking at the Karma. Yep. And I don't know if the Karma just walked up or if she was positioned like that from the start. I was so focused on the Viego and how he was trying to convert one of the Dawnbringers, and the Dawnbringer was just healing up through the Viego. And I'm sitting there on the edge of my seat like, is he gonna get it? And then I completely forgot that, oh, Draven versus, and then the Draven lived with 1 HP. You were screaming, you're like, this Draven is dead. Healed back up, killed the Karma, and clutched. Like, Draven brain, man.
That was the story of every single fight beforehand. It was, okay, Draven lives at 1 HP, life steals up, but then Karma turns his attention to him, and boom, he's just dead. Thought it was happening again, but clearly not. It was a bit of a positioning diff, I think. Karma actually has moved over to the left side on that matchup, and that actually meant that she was far enough away for the Draven to where, or sorry, far enough away from the Garen to whereas Garen wasn't going to be the member in front of the Draven. Draven actually was closer to the Karma that matchup, but she didn't really walk anywhere. She was just not positioned, I think, well enough. Aki kind of a little bit of a blunder there, I think, because if the positioning was the exact same as it was in the previous fights, it probably would have worked out, but just unfortunately didn't. So with that, that's Admiral takes the win. We have our scores ready for the first 3 games. It is going to be a lot closer than before. We have Buzzy Boo still in first with 23 points. Jose tied with second, tied in second place with Aki, 20 points apiece. Ever tied in 4th with Asian Gamer with 15 points. That's Admiral with the victory, jumps up to 14. Saltman with the 8th goes with 10 points, and Domo still, unfortunately, looking like they're not going to be coming back for next week. They do have 6 points, but hopefully can play a bit of spoiler, even just for their own pride here, getting the top 4 in game number 4.
Yeah, that 4th place is just such a toss-up in this leaderboard, and what was so impressive about that lobby too was, like, you know, Aki getting 2nd place there, which, I mean, could have been 1st, could have been 2nd. Positioning diff was really what secured that, but it was from an Abomination pivot, while there was another Dawnbringer player in this lobby, Asian Gamer, who pivoted from Draconics to Dawnbringer. So we saw 2 different approaches to how you start the game versus how you ended up the game on Dawnbringers, and I mean, very solid items across the board of how they were able to utilize that Karma.
Oh yeah, definitely. The Karma has been so strong today. Dawnbringers, of course, one of the best vertical traits, especially if you want to get, you know, late game situation with the Garen 2 online to magic resistance shred everything. Karma just really seems like she does it all. The Redeem's not quite working out, I think, as well as some players would like. The Lux early game didn't really get into anything much. We haven't really seen too much Vel'Koz either, and the bit of the Bulldozer composition with the Varus Pantheon. I mean, people think it's good. I myself am kind of not really see it be that overly, you know, overwhelming, but it happens. Didn't get top 4 that time, unfortunately.
It's kind of like that esports rule. There's some shenanigans you can get away with on ladder and some stuff that just don't work out in a tournament setting. But I like the innovation. I like the risk that they took. You know, you start with Jose speaking, 4th place first lobby, 1st place second lobby. So you had wiggle room, probably thought, okay, well, I'm most likely secured into maybe next week, or maybe I don't know. And they're like, oh, let's try this bulldozer comp. This would be hilarious for content, you know?
For content, gotta do it. Gotta look good. Get the highlight reels, and we'll see if any highlight reels are going to be had here as we load on into game number 4, our final game for Fight Night Rising on set 5. Let's see how it goes. Admirable taking a tier to start. That's Admirable does, of course, like these draconic units, but it's only really gone that route once, and I think, if I remember correctly, that's Admirable placed the or no, the skirmishers was the poorest actually. The draconic was the 6th, so that's admirable. Moving fully away from draconics, fully away from the skirmishers. Does end up getting the first with Forgotten. Maybe he's looking for that route once again.
I always feel doomed when I get a tier start, though. Do you find success with tier starts? I know you know, it's a long game. There's lots of things that are gonna happen, but I feel like that early game first item is so important to either get dubs or a loss streak. So what do you do beyond a tier?
I mean, tier start's okay. I think some early game slams that could be useful for it is, of course, you know, the Shojins. If you're going for that draconic, going for the Zyra route, you're not, you know, really that sad about slamming it. The Hodge as well, I think, if you get, especially a Shadow Hodge from, you know, if you get a Shadow Glove from the 2/2 Armory, but it could just be held on to a bit later. But Admiral definitely taking it for that Draconic route. Finds a pair of Udyrs, finds a Brand as well. So, and another Callista, actually.
You got the Runons.
Yeah,
Runons too.
Already available. This is a good start for That's Admirable, honestly. Like, that's exactly what he wants to go with. Hopefully, That's Admirable can land on finding either a Zyra or an Ashe to carry some of these items and get the Draconic online. Is the orb going to come through for units? It is, and okay, it's a couple skirmishers right now. Does instantly sell the Nidalee, so doesn't want to get stuck in going skirms again and going fast 8th, and I respect it. Doesn't actually buy the Brand in time, though, which I think he probably would have wanted to if he had more time there. Levels to 4, slams the Runans, and takes it from here.
Yeah, because I was wondering, there was also a Trundle in the shop if they were thinking about skirmishers, but since, you know, we're having such bad luck in Fight Night Rising with skirmishers that it might not be the play. I mean, even that skirmishy-ish Pantheon Bulldozer that we saw from Jose was 5th place finish, so maybe skirmish is not the play like you said, but love Lee Sin.
Yeah, Lee Sin fantastic early, even without any synergies. Lee Sin just has decent amount of damage, a lot of utility as well. Pair that with the Callista damage, means Admiral wins that round. 3-0 against Saltman. Both players level 4. Jose losing out his round, Aki losing, and Domo. Get to see who has the weaker boards early, get to see who has the stronger boards, and the Shadow tier. And or tier. Pick your poison. Probably the Shadow tier.
After there's so many tiers on the first carousel, opening carousel, and then, you know, your armory, your 2/2 armory is 2 tiers. Feels kind of bad.
A little bit. Shadow tier, probably not the best for That's Admiral right now, but still can think about Very Dark Blue buff for like a Rise later on for the Abominations. Maybe, I mean, might not really be the route though. Could think about a Shojin. Even a Shadow Shojin for the Zyra.
Or are you just still committing to like a Shadow Hodge? Now you have 2 different angles, either a Shadow Glove or regular glove. If you get a glove at all, thinking about next carousel coming up, but...
True.
Yeah.
Oh, Domo playing very aggressive now. I mean, honestly, Domo, you know, can't place top 4 at this point. So they're just kind of playing really loose right now. Playing kind of for fun this last game. And levels to 5 on 2/2, playing basically as loose as possible. I like it. You know, go on a bit of an early win streak. Use that to get you a top 4. Get some confidence back. I like it.
Yeah, I can't get the 10 gold. Buy out the shop. Got some renewers. Nothing too useful for Admirable, but seeing Buzzy still at the top without losing. So starting a win streak's always good.
Mine's Lissandra too. Trying to figure out how to play it here, probably, but I mean, could end up selling the Warwick. Could just play the instead of the Lee Sin. Okay, yeah, I was gonna get the blue buff off of the Warwick. Put this onto Lissandra instead. Better use of that. I'm gonna play actually Renewer Nightbringer instead. I think this is the correct decision for That's Admirable. He's gonna still have a decent amount of tankiness in the front line with the Nightbringer shields, and also the Renewer to allow Lissandra to get more damage out. I like this.
Yeah, it's always tough. You look at TFT and you're like, man, I can execute this. You have the recipe of how the cake is supposed to look like, what your comp is supposed to look like, and then you get shops and boards like this where you're like, I don't really know, and you're talking about very similar levels of strength between a few boards, and you just got to do with what you can. But I'm thinking like the Forgotten angle that you mentioned with the dark blue buff going towards Rise. We're going to sell everything for 10 gold because now we are directionless, but Forgotten is what screams out to me.
Definitely could be. That's Admiral has been willing to pivot before away from the Draconics. Is not really a Draconic Whisperer today. Gonna think about this Lee Sin. End up grabbing it. Was a little unsure about that, it looked like. Asian Gamer also unsure what they want. Ends up at the tier. Aki grabs the rod. On Jose's board, Jose today has been very familiar with going very low HP early on, but this time it's going to be because of running Draconics. I'm just going to use that as a bit of gold generation, it looks like. Some upgrades do come through. We get the Set 2, and now the Zyra to replace the Ashe is a bit stronger. Can sell some of these units for Econ, but holding Nocturne makes me think that the potential of going in Assassin composition is here for Jose. The Shadow Locket does work really well in that composition, and the Zeke's Bleak Herald does as well. So yeah, I think actually Jose wants to maybe consider realistically going into Assassins from here.
That's interesting. I didn't think you would ever utter that phrase.
Yeah, I mean,
today's lobby.
Honestly, me neither. But from the spot, it looks too much like that's the route.
Because I feel like the Shadow Zeeks, I remember this being decent enough on Draven too, and because they're shadow items, Forgotten screams out to me. But a bunch of people thinking about Forgotten's such a good vertical trait right now in this meta, but. This Jose is also the person in lobby 2 that went Draconic Zyra and got first place and like dominated the lobby. So I'm thinking, you know, don't give Draconics to Jose, man. He's gonna pop off, and it's just so much economy that whatever he decides to do, I'm sure he'll pull off.
We'll see. Taking a look at the other boards. Buzzy B won 4 Brawlers and a Katarina 2. Actually had 4 Katarinas at 2-6. By the most that I've seen. Does end up selling the extra Katarina though, just playing this one as an item carrier. Buzzy B at the top of the lobby in HP, as they usually are, honestly. 98 right now. No one's on a win streak though. Lobby is close enough towards that can't actually come through. We see Shadow Lockets everywhere as well. One on Ever's board with a lot of Forgottens actually. There's going to be 4 of them because there are 2 Threshes. Udyr trying to make this round work with the double hook onto the Ashe. He actually can't play the game. Warwick suppress right after. Yikes, hate to see it.
Then you have this frozen heart that's, I don't know, Set is all frozen up right now. Maybe it's just okay. Just a visual bug there. I was like, where is the invisible frozen heart? But yeah, the 2 Threshes playing tug of war on Ashe is never great. But I mean, I guess your main source of damage here is I'm looking at this Udyr, but hey, you got a 2-star Ashe, but...
Yeah, does Jose actually want the 2-star Ashe? I mean, they don't want to... If they don't get gold here, and make the 2-star Ashe, they don't want to sell the Kha'Zix, because not only is it going to offer the Dawnbringer right now, but it offers, you know, the Assassins a bit later on as well. A bow comes through, so we get Runan's potential for this Nocturne. That's fantastic. Any gold? Nope. A vest. Okay, no gold still, and Nico's help. So yeah, the Ashe will actually be skipped out on because Jose doesn't want to lose Econ.
At least with Draconics, you just, at least kind of RNG of what's going to come out of that egg, you know? Draconic is like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get. But not too bad of being able to kind of skip out on having the 2-star Ashe, though, which not sure how much of a big power spike that would have been because, you know, no items and whatnot, but maybe wish they did take that.
Yeah, probably going to actually as well wait out for the Runans, trying to go for the Shadow Runans instead, as it will be a bit more valuable for the Nocturne. Really curious to see Jose's 3-2 roll down. I think 3-2 is likely to be where Jose is looking to stabilize and pivot this board. If not then either 3-5 or 4-1. But it'll probably be soon, given the fact that Jose's board isn't super strong. I mean, that being said, runs an Assault Man, and Assault Man actually might be losing this one. The Bloodthirster, shield comes through, but yeah, Udyr. Udyr does enough. Maybe a vest difference there. Jose putting the vest on Udyr, making him a bit tankier, and Shadow Bow comes through. That's instantly going to be grabbed. Shadow Hurricane. Gonna go in right now, it looks like.
I also see that Saltman had a Bloodthirster slam on a Vayne. So
Yeah.
I'm seeing, maybe I just got my Draven glasses on because Draven just always nets you LP, I feel like, but it's seeing so many Draven items everywhere, but Bloodthirster on Vayne, it's, you know, it's okay to have lifesteal, but when she doesn't have much attack speed with just the Forgotten 3 or something like that, or it's not that much extra damage, but hey, look at this! Your Nocturne, your Assassin boys are coming out.
Yeah, Jose unwilling to roll down a lot more gold there to try to hit the Nocturne 2 and save maybe the Nikos for Nocturne 3, but it slams the Nikos right now, and I actually really like that decision because it guarantees that Jose is going to be very powerful in the rest of Stage 3 to save up on HP that he's lost in Stage 2, and also save up in the economy to get back up to 50 gold and put himself in the position to actually roll for that Nocturne 3 a bit later on. So I really like that Nico usage there. I think that's going to be a big factor if we see Jose coming out with a Nocturne 3 and, like, say, like pushing level 8 or level 9 later on into the game.
Yeah, the Ivern reroll helps so much when you get kind of like a free GA for your Nocturne too.
Oh yeah.
So
Ivern was huge in that hit. Ashe gets hit there, but from the Draconic Egg, it looks like. We'll check in a bit later, because we know that board's stable. Jose feeling good about this one.
Ooh.
Saltman.
A Mord.
Mordekaiser already, yeah. And Hecarim too. I mean, the Vayne's really just doing a Draven cosplay here with these items. Really wants that Draven to come through, but they're only 18 gold on 3-3, because usually Forgotten players will, they're definitely known to roll down 3-2 to hit the 6 Forgotten. Because you don't even need the Draven to do it with, because there's so many Forgotten units baseline, but obviously rolled a lot and just didn't land on anything. I mean, I guess the Hecarim upgrade and the Mordekaiser is something, but it's not really good enough. Given the fact we spent so much money to get here.
Wasn't there somebody who had like a Katarina too? Maybe that's the reason
yeah.
you just can't find her right now.
Yeah, right. On 2-6, there was like 4 Katarinas. Like, where'd they all go? They're there.
Yeah, that's the struggle part. You either get a Katarina on neutral round, or you just never find her when you need her for Forgotten 6. But
yeah.
See, now we are on our 3-4 carousel. What does Saltman want? The glove. Thinking about Last Whisper, Final Whisper, maybe?
Oh yeah, Final Whisper, especially, I believe they did have Shadow Bow, right? Yes, they do have Shadow Bow in the Vayne, so Final Whisper is going to be the priority there. And gets on a 4-cost unit as well, so gets to repair the econ a little bit. Maybe make back up to 30 gold in this coming round. With 68 HP. Towards the bottom of the lobby. Yeah, sells Vel'Koz actually for exactly 30 gold. Not bad.
So not Forgotten 6, but you have a Mord.
It's something, yeah.
It's a little baby Mord with just the 1 star and, you know, decent enough frontline, but I'm sure they took a lot of losses. They're currently on a 4-loss streak. We'll see if the Final Whisper is kind of that power spike they were looking for, but now bringing everything to the left side just to protect that left side space, especially for the Vayne. And okay, we panic, get rid of Mord, and we put Sejuani in.
Yeah, get a bit of the Cavalier buff to make sure our front line's a bit tankier. The Mord might be okay later, but definitely isn't great now. But we do run into Buzzy Boo, who was the player who had the very early Katarina too. It's going to be taking out the Vayne. Hecarim, though, still alive, still doing pretty well. Has the Eclipse Cape as well. So should win this matchup, I think, assuming that he's able to get another ultimate off. The set did get buffed. The armor shred's a bit higher, but oh, okay. Hecarim is going to clutch that one out. kind of got close there at the end.
So escaping that, what was it, 4-something loss streak by 1 HP there. Definitely not feeling too cozy, but at least getting rid of that random Legionnaire Mord and putting your 2 Cavs in. So at least you have that damage reduction for your Hecarim. And this Pantheon is just existing. It's just vibing on the beach. And the Thresh will be there to protect the Vayne, but when you're just preparing everything for this Draven, you're praying you actually hit the Draven, but deciding to go for the 2 Nightbringer now, Yasuo in.
Yep. Just a bit more extra, I guess, tankiness. I actually think back to the last round as well. I think the Sejuani in over the Mordekaiser, actually let that be a round win. Because the Cavalier buff allowed Hecarim to live in the end. Ooh, Thresh has a great hook onto the Draven.
Ooh.
So as soon as Vayne gets through the Warwick, she'll turn her attention to the Draven. There it is. But all the lifesteal here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Draven. Yeah. Turns out if you're doing Draven cosplay, you're not going to be as good as the real deal.
But then you're just so jealous. You're a little jelly
A little
that
bit.
Ever was able to find that Draven so early. I mean, it's 37. You have a Draven with perfect items, and I'm pretty sure Ever had a Nico's help. So you're just kind of one Draven away from 2 stars. So that's gonna feel extra bad for everyone chasing down that Draven, including Saltman.
Oh man. You know, I liked Domo's aggression in the early game with leveling to 5 so early, but now they are pivoting into 1-star skirmishers from being 40 HP on wolves. It is just not looking good. Level 7 comes through. I mean, we'll see what they end up hitting if they hit some upgrades. Speaking of upgrades, Buzzy Boo is going to be rolling as well. It's a Nunu 2, hits the Soraka 2 as well. It's a Karma, so we can get rid of the Katarina. Dawnbringers are online.
Some weird damage items. So, I mean, Shadow Hodge is flexible. You can put it on anyone, but Giant Slayer is always that afterthought. But when you have so many bows,
yeah,
it's like, well, might as well make this. But for Karma,
it's not bad.
Not the best.
Yeah, it's not that's not the best, but it's not bad. Especially in some of these matchups with tankier units, Giant Slayer is going to be getting a lot of value. Ionic Dark Spark is really the big question mark for me. It could end up being okay on the Karma, and it's not really going to deal that much damage to her, but looks like it's not going to end up going that way, and it will be Buzzy Boo losing this round. They play early very well. They still have an okay amount of HP. And, ooh, loaded dice potential. But they could just grab a component instead. And yeah, it's going to be the rods. We can think about maybe just Jeweled Gauntlet to end things off. Karma can do okay without a mana generation item. She does well with, of course, blue buff and the Shojins. But it's not 100% necessary. I think Buzzy Boo is kind of thinking that right now as well, seeing as there are no tiers. Besides, of course, the one for the Hodge. And yeah, here it is.
Carousel and yeah, just no mana, no help on the mana is really unfortunate. You got like a tier component in the Shadow Hodge, but it's not helping at all. And even waiting out until, I mean, it is just a 1-star Karma. There is a world where you can remake this, not with a remover, just by selling it. You know, Carousel, you got the Raptors at the end, so, but just needing to get out of this hole, feeling like needing to slam these items.
Yeah, there is potential as well if Buzzy Boo does land on a mana generation item and does decide to prioritize it. Before you upgrade the Karma, you actually could just put the Karma that's on the bench on the board, put the item there, and then once the Karma combines, it will prioritize the Karma that's on the board. So you can do it that way as well. I think Buzzy Boo is probably just happy with the Karma that he has at this point. We'll see. The Nunu is doing his best at being a kind of Garen placeholder with these items. No Warmogs, no HP for the Garen's always rough, because with HP he just scales so ridiculously well, giving himself up to all those shields to be just super tanky. Buzzy Boo not quite at that point yet. And doesn't have the items for it.
Just the no mana items, and there's someone else that has actually perfect Karma items, at least we get to see them face off actually, but yeah, with no mana items, it just takes extra long to get to that, you know, auto ult stage, and then that means you're just putting extra pressure on that front line, but hey, I guess the extra damage pays off.
Damage is pretty good. It turns out if you one-shot the opponent Karma, it doesn't matter how many times they cast, they can't get to that point in the first place. This Karma's doing work for now. See if it does end up biting Buzzy Boo in the butt a bit later on, but definitely seems pretty solid. The potential of spatula items are here now, as this carousel will net 3 of them, and that's admirable. Aggressively goes for the Shadow Spat, and yeah, I'm really curious to see what that's going to go into, because yet another Karma player. So many Karma players, Lemon. They're just, people have really fell in love with this composition, it seems, and for good reason.
And this was the Admirable who had the dark blue buff slam at the start, where it was like this renewer opener, and we were like, oh, thinking maybe Forgotten, because just Rise utilizes it the best. And
Yeah.
I was actually curious who picked up the Volibear with the spat, because I see money dollar signs when a Volibear has a spat,
Oh
but
yeah.
not not important right now. I just like expensive units. But the dark blue buff on Karma, I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, it's a mana item, so it's more than nothing, but you need to take damage for that extra mana to kick in, right?
Yeah, it's honestly, I don't know the exact math on it, but it's not that much worse than the regular blue buff. Sure, she's gonna get to that, 10 mana being her cap a bit slower, but when she's at that point, it's gonna be just as good. It might as well be a blue buff at that point. It really doesn't matter. So it's still a fine slam here, especially considering that's Admirable already had that item from the early game. But it does, however, fall very quickly to Jose Paulo's Assassins. And yeah, look at the econ. I want to bring back the point of Jose using the Nikos and the Nocturne early is going to allow him to be at a point where he's level 8, 20 gold still, is winning a lot of the rounds, is first place in the lobby in HP, albeit it's only by 1 HP to Ever and Buzzy Boo being at 60, but still a very nice spot to be in. Jose looking to kind of bridge that point gap between him and Buzzy Boo.
The random Abomination player with the Revenant spat on Karma. There's a lot of Karma players here. Are people just buying Karmas just to spite the other players?
Is there 4 Karma players?
I'd
at
have
least
to
3.
see, but...
We see 2 right
Well, there's one of them.
Yeah.
Ooh, and the Force of Nature. That helps.
Oh yeah, very nice. Probably the spat in the last carousel helped that one. And yeah, the Karma with more items, winning out yet again. Missing out on that cast, but still, it's going to end up being okay.
It was Asian Gamer too that got the spat with the Volibear on it, or the Volibear with the spat on it.
Spat with the Volibear on it, true.
The Volibear with the spat on
Might
it.
as well. Might as well be.
That's what's important. Yeah, so many Karma, but then it's also the race to Karma 2, where I think there was one of the players that already had Karma 2 at level 7, or 2 Karmas at level 7, so maybe not even needing to have a crazy roll down at 8 for it.
Yeah. Looks like Jose also had a Shadow Spat, so they could look to make some good use out of that a bit later on. Perhaps a Revenant Spat, if they get a Cloak. Perhaps just a Force of Darkness, if they high roll a bit later on. That's admirable as well. With that same Shadow Spat, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for the Shadow Spat, yeah, Revenant for sure. And then if you had a regular spat, a Dawnbringer Spat or a Renewer Spat, you go for like a Renewer 4 angle. I think we saw that maybe in the last lobby, but...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 4 Renewers did
coming
decent.
in.
Mm-hmm. It was the Renewer Timo, I believe, that ended up coming through.
Oh, yeah.
With that, yeah. That's honorable. In a rough spot. Needs to have a good roll down soon once they level to 8. Have a chance, but goes up against Ever. Ever has such a good Forgotten board.
And he just hit Draven 2. Asian Gamer, I just saw it on the right side, hit Karma 2.
Oh,
so
no.
Asian Gamer winning the race to Karma 2. That's going to be a huge power spike for them. And Dawnbringer is just such a good comp when you can have so many versatile, like, Ironclads, Mystics, etc., and you can just fit so many things around it, but you also are susceptible to the RNG of Karma's hit. And sometimes Draven doesn't have eyes. So, but it looks like the Draven pulls out the dub there, but 8 HP. Whew, admirable on last life.
Yeah, 8 HP. This is the time. You gotta go in with your money. Level to 8. Rolls down. Finds an Ivern, which is really nice for this comp. Fits the Invoker. Hasn't found the Volibear. Okay, finds the Karma 2. Karma 2 is here. What do we sell? Okay, be the Lux. Not bad. Item Reforger is available as well for that's admirable, and makes me think that you might actually want to utilize it on the Rel, because GA Rel, meh, whatever. Honestly, it could be a lot of other things and be a bit better. But it's gonna be risking it for here.
Nightbringer spot?
Yeah.
They have right now, so
which is
not
useless.
ideal.
Yeah. Not ideal for sure.
Do you just like reforge the bell and hope to get a better spat? Like what else is the move?
I mean, potentially. I hope you get a cloak. Go for I mean, even if you get a cloak though, it's gonna be like double revive on the rel. But with that, Domo and Aki are gonna be falling. Admirable hangs on with the 8 HP. 6 players remaining. Asian Gamer finds Nidalee 2 and Riven 2 actually, so these Dawnbringers are being upgraded. So many Karma players. There's been more Karma players as the games go on. It's like, okay, 1 Karma player, then 2, then 3, then it feels like 4 now, I think there is, so.
I haven't actually thought about the math about this, but how many players can go Karma 2?
I mean, it can be 4. I mean, technically it could be more, I guess, depending on how many Nikos help, because Nikos does create a temporary copy of a unit. But there's 12 in the pool, so usually there's only going to be maximum 4 people who can run a Karma 2. But usually you're going to be hard-pressed to find that if there's a couple or a few other players running it. So usually it's like 2 max, maybe 3 stretching it.
And then you're counting on people not being meanie poo-poo heads by
Holding
buying extra
them.
karmas, because
Yeah,
that's what I
exactly.
do.
Oh,
I
yeah,
always
for sure.
dominate. If someone even looks at Dawnbringers funny, I'm buying extra karmas.
Yeah, if you have the econ to do so. That's something that I think at least NA players don't do enough of, is deny units. It actually is a thing that happened a lot in like back in set 1, but players have just like shifted away from doing that. They say, oh, we're just going to prioritize other things, use our money for, you know, selfishly for what we want. It does come into play a lot when we're trying to specifically deny 3-star units, and deny, you know, in a 1v1 scenario in the late game, to deny like legendaries. But I just want to see players do a bit more.
Yeah, me too. Just a little bit of smack talk in chat too.
Just ping it. It's like, hey, I got your karma. I got it. You're not getting it.
The carousel heard that there were so many karma players, so they put like 3 jewel gauntlets. It was like almost an all damage carousel. It felt like, with like the exception of like a GA and maybe one other normal item, but kind of an unlucky carousel for anyone who was hoping to get better frontline going.
Jose hit Nocturne 3. Saw if Asia Gamer scouting that board out. Asia Gamer going to run into the Forgotten board. Draven's pretty good in the backline, but we've seen this matchup go a lot into the Karma favor. And yeah, it's going to be going Karma favored yet again. Saltman takes a huge hit there. Asia Gamer hanging on. 24 HP. That's admirable. Oh, no. Drops out in 6th. And I think that will solidify that's admirable in the bottom 4. Unlucky.
But one dream was alive, and it was the 3rd lobby with the 1st place. So I think just walking away with 1 first place, maybe not the ticket back to next week, or I guess you guys know what I mean, just the next show.
Yeah.
Because I know you guys are taking a break, but I mean, still this force of nature, I'm sure, is gonna help have that extra unit, maybe a slight edge over the opponents. You know, we can always have that double volley pair setup that we've seen in previous lobbies.
Love double Volibear. Volibear is such a good unit, especially with the buffs coming through. Again, Volibear got like really gutted a few patches ago, but slowly got buffed back up. And it's just so good. The CC, even dying, gets into that Revenant state. The CC lands, and that's a big key to the win. Heimerdinger Cast gets to go off as well. Asian Gamer wins this one. Buzzyboo now next on the chopping block. 12 HP. Going up against Salt, and yeah, Buzzyboo's gonna lose there. Doesn't get eliminated, however. Is 3 HP as we anticipate stage 6 happening here soon. Asian Gamer has a lot of gold. About 50 gold. Will he level up? Will he roll down? I mean, rolling could find the Heimer 2. Could find a Volley 2 and Garen 2. Those all would be fantastic upgrades. Heck, even Soraka 2 as well.
Oh yeah, this is crazy that you don't have a Soraka 2 at this stage, but also that you have that belt, you know, if, you know, glass half empty type of situation, but if there were to be some cute little spat that were to fall somewhere, even upcoming carousels, you have the more Dawnbringers, more fun, but then you obviously sold the Kazakhs, so not sure Dawnbringer 8 was kind of a far-fetched thing.
Yeah, a little bit. Hey, if you can get it, get a couple spats online. That's fantastic. Buzzyboo now hits the Karma too.
Better late than never.
Yeah, right? Saltman hits a Rel too. Asian Gamer, of course, already has the Karma too. Ward's still going to be strong because of that.
How excited
speaking.
are you that Assassins maybe get to top 4
Oh
here?
yeah, that feels good. Mostly because Jose just played it so well. I think like Jose was playing this game like for a first with that play there, and really being rewarded for it. Gonna see some of his fights a bit later on. For now, it is Asian Gamer versus Ever, and once again, the Karma. Oh, actually, oh the CC from Ivern lands. With that, a couple more Karma casts, and the Heimer in that heal reduction. Dawnbringers farming the Forgotten so many times.
Level 9 in the cards too for Asian Gamer and probably Jose. I imagine when you're win streaking at level 8, you're looking at a level 9 direction, but
Ooh.
no.
Fuzzy Boo drops in the bottom 4 for the first time today. They get 5th. Jose still being alive means that I believe Jose has a really good shot if they're able to get at least a second, maybe a first, to win out on the night. Could be a back-to-back victory here, and with a level 9 assassin board Nocturne 3, that's the exact time to do it.
And the reforge, I guess. It's like, I don't know. Would you reforge anything on this board? Because I guess the Giant Slayer is going to help convert someone a little bit faster, I believe, but I don't know if I'd reforge anything.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think so. I think that reforging the Diana might be an option, but the Trap Claw is so good, I think, especially into these Karma boards. Giant Slayer for the Viego is going to help him deal enough damage to steal and convert units. The Reforger, I think it's probably correct to just sit on the bench here. Has still 20 gold to roll and find some of these pairs. Even is going for a Dyna 3, actually. Is 2 Dynas away from that one.
Whoa, I haven't seen that before. It's
Yeah,
just not something I think about.
That is pretty terrifying if that can actually come online. We'll see, though. He's kind of greeting it out here, because he can. Just wants to position correctly. Jose's still on a 6-win streak. Nocturne's surely going to farm this composition here from Ever.
Oh, just right in the middle of everyone. That's the blend. Oh,
it's
got
Polly,
Lulu, though. Uh-oh.
Okay, there's hope. But
Wow.
the hope is gone.
It's the Revenant trait. Helped just get so much HP and just knocked out Ever. So first and second place in the cards, and Ever finishes third.
Asian Gamer now and Jose in top 2 scenario. We've seen a similar scenario before with Aki, and that's admirable. Aki got 3 wins in a row before being finally taken out. Now Asian Gamer in the same spot. But this time, I think Jose is a bit stronger. And Jose looking to close this one out in just the next round. Might do so. Oh, actually, he's going to sell the Diana to move some items over. Could have reforged the Last Whisper, I think, probably, but, I mean, Last Whisper not going to be terrible. Volibear 2 in the front line. Can Shroud and Trap Claw as Jose pleases. He's playing this so well. The Shroud onto the whole clump here. This could be it, Lemon.
Ooh, and onto the Karma. Oh, it's going to take her so long to get that first cast off, and man, this Volibear just tore it up, and the blender of the Nocturne. Oh, slicing and dicing. That's a goodbye Asian Gamer right there.
Goodbye, Asian Gamer. The Garen's trying his best, but try as much as you will. You are not going to be able to stand up to the Nocturne 3. Jose Paulo wins yet again. Started off the day a bit slower. Did get a 4th. Of course, redeemed it in games number 2, and now in game number 4 as well. Jose will be the victor for this week. We'll have to calculate all the scores to see where everybody else ended up at. But this is a good day of games, Lemon. This was really fun. I think I'm really excited to see the Assassins come out from a good spot and actually do well. I think Jose played it phenomenally. Got to see the rise of the Karma popularity, not the rise of the composition, because of course everyone knows at this point Karma is good, but people contesting it, I suppose I should say, got more contested throughout the day.
This Assassin comp, getting top 4 is going to make me act up. Not only top 4, first place. It's going to make me act up so bad I'm going to lose. I'm going to, go home. Actually, I'm home right now, but I'm going to leave the show. I'm going to go run Assassins. You'll have to coach me. and I'm gonna get bottom 4, and I'm gonna lose like 300 LP, and I'm gonna have a very sad night. I'm not gonna return, but at least see, I'm gonna have to take notes on what Jose does, because 2 first place finishes, and I think even Boop was telling me last week was like an almost perfect Fight Night Rising night for Jose. So looks like our scoreboard is ready.
Yeah, let's end up going through it. Can see the Jose Paulo domination. Jose did get three first places last week. This week, only 2 first places. Jose is slacking. Oh man, but still, a first place. Buzzy Boo in second with 27. Asian Gamer in third, actually, with 23. Ever and Aki, both of those players at 22 points, but it looks like Ever is going to win out the tiebreaker there to get into the top 4, into the money. Aki 5th, Admirable 6th, Saltman 7th, and Domo couldn't end up on anything, couldn't play spoiler in the last game, unfortunately, is going to end the day out in 8th.
What's surprising to me in today's Fight Night Rising was just how really missing Redeemed was. I haven't seen any super strong Redeemed boards. I saw some glimpses of it, maybe from Saltman and Lobby 3, but they had that weird like Volibear Ivor in front line. I'm not saying weird because it's bad. I'm saying at that stage that they high rolled it and then ended up getting, I think, 8th or something very low.
I think that was game 3. Yeah, it was not working out, unfortunately, at that point.
Just Redeem used to be, it is a strong opener, but surprising how much it's fallen out, at least for Fight Night Rising's meta, of just how it hasn't really done much for anybody.
Yeah, oh man, unfortunate. Gonna see if we can get Jose on the line for a bit of an interview, and I think we might actually have him. Jose, congrats on your victory yet again, back-to-back weeks in Fight Night Rising.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, congrats, and wonderful to have you back. Get to pick your brain yet again, Jose. Coming into this week with some, some slight patch. It wasn't too huge, but just want to open up with your thoughts on that. Did it change anything up? Kind of, what do you think are the biggest things that came through with this patch?
I don't think much has changed really. I thought Yasuo and like a Mom Draconic would be a little weaker, but it didn't seem to be the case.
Yeah,
because it still went first, second in like one of the lobbies. I'm actually surprised that Forgotten won 2 lobbies. I don't think the comp's like, I don't rate the comp as highly. Maybe it's because I don't play as much, but yeah, I think that those are the big things.
Yeah,
those are only things. Yeah.
Speaking of things you do play, game 3, Varus Pantheon, the Bulldozer composition, a little bit of innovation from you. Can you tell us about what the thought was behind it, what kind of brought you to that composition, and how you thought it didn't work out?
Oh, I got baited. I'm pretty sure I scouted the lobby. I wanted to play Redeemed. My items were perfect for a Vel'Koz, didn't hit a single Vel'Koz, so watched a few streamers that play that comp. One of my close friends plays that comp, so I was like, screw it, I might as well try it here. And yeah, I bought for it because couldn't find a Kindred, couldn't find that comp is really gated by not having Rel Kindred late game, and I didn't have any of those units, so yeah, I don't like the comp.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm actually glad to hear you say that, because I look at this composition and I'm like, I don't think it's that amazing, but other people be like, oh, I think it's OP. But it's some nice innovation if you could, you throw the word innovation out there. But I'm just happy to hear you say that, because I share those thoughts exactly.
Yeah, I think the comp sucks. But
yeah, hey, thank you. Someone said it. We can respect the opinion of Jose. And of course, back-to-back Fight Night Rising victor. But I want to pick your brain as well about set 5.5. Have you played it at all? You looked at it? What are you looking forward to when we look forward into the future?
I've played one game. I had a lot of fun playing it, but I think the comeback mechanic is something I really look forward to, because I do like, especially today, like I like playing lost streak games. I like coming back from behind, so
yeah,
being at that HP threshold, yeah, it's like a dopamine rush for me. So I just like, it's good to see like that they're adding that. But apart from that, I think I'm surprised there weren't more changes. I think a lot of the same comps are still going to be strong, but I'm looking forward to like Akshan and like Sentinels and stuff. So
yeah, I actually saw a comment. I think it was Raditz talking about how it felt a lot more like set 5.25 as opposed to 5.5. Do you kind of agree with that? It's like more you think could have been changed in terms of changing up the good comps?
Yeah, I read that as well. I think a lot
Yeah.
of the core comps, like none of the like redeemed and like Dawn, a lot of the AP comps, like they didn't none of the units got their units got removed,
Hmm.
and um I don't think they showed like as much love to like AD comps as well. I know like they just put out an affiliates change, but
Yeah.
apart from that, I kind of wish there were more AD changes apart from like Akshan and like maybe one or two more AD carries, because I feel like I've been playing so much AP comps in set 5. So yeah.
Sure.
Well, at least in that, I guess, quote, new set, they got a shinier death cap, maybe. So Radiant items. I'm excited for that and how it's going to boost up those AP comps even more. First lobby, we were just so excited for you because I felt like you got like the luckiest opening when you had 2 Yasuo's drop. We don't get to hear the streams because we're casting, obviously, but when you had those 2 Yasuo's drop and you had that clear direction from lobby 1, did it kind of help your overall confidence in the tournament? And what was your kind of reaction to just getting 2 Yasuo's like that?
Yeah, I already knew I was gonna play it. I pivot to my chat. They're like, "You won't see a third Yasuo until 4-1," and I didn't see a third Yasuo until 4-1. So
He called it.
that
Didn't
kind of
help.
sucked, but yeah, that's okay. I still top 4 that game.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of happy I top 4 that game. It was kind of doomed not getting a third Yasuo early. So yeah.
Got
Yeah.
almost baited yet again, but top 4 was enough to set you up for the win. And speaking of, once again, congrats on back-to-back. We'll see here next week, and we'll throw the floor to you for any final words, any shout-outs, and where can we find you on social medias and things like that.
Shout out to chat. Thanks for sticking around with me, being up this early. It's like it started at 9 a.m. I'm surprised anyone was actually watching me at that time. So that's
Oh my
cool.
god.
Um, yeah, you can find me on my Twitch and go follow me on I stream pretty much every day, and if you want to learn from me, that'd be cool. So thank you again for having me. I love these tourneys.
I'm
Yeah.
glad. I love him too. Thank you very much, Jose. And we will see
Congrats.
you back. Actually, not next week because we're taking a couple weeks off, but the next time in a few weeks for set 5.5 Fun Night Rising. We'll see you then.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Now to wrap it up, of course, reminder that I believe you can hover over the stream to follow all the players that you saw here compete today, like Jose Paulo, so you can make sure to check out their content. Jose, a fantastic player, so dominant. I'm excited to see what Jose can make happen in set 5.5 as well. But to close it out, Lemon, what are your final thoughts on the day and things from what we've seen? Because we saw a lot of great action, I would say, today.
Death to shadow items, but
Yes.
next time we return, we'll have radiant action, radiant items, and we'll have to see if these players are able to catch up with the meta. And you know, we will have, was it Jose, Buzz, and Asian Gamer returning that time, and Boopasaurus. Hopefully, you know, that transformer gets fixed in a couple weeks.
Unlucky.
But it was an amazing time. Big shout out to Fight Night Rising for having me, and it was a blast getting to cast with you for the first time. And we have D&D that we get to play, so this was just like a warm up to our D&D synergy.
Exactly. Looking forward to that. I've played D&D less lately, but yeah, we get to do that in probably about a month or so, but looking forward to that. But it's fantastic casting alongside you as well for the first time. I had a blast. I hope all of you at home had a good time as well watching all this competition. Reminder, once again, we will be off for Fight Night Rising for a couple weeks as set 5.5 gets underway. We will be back then. For everyone else, have a good night, and we'll see you next time.